live.
We are live. Okay.
All right, so I should be seeing you as live on X now, right?
Yep.
Hi, is anybody out there? We're live. We're still alive.
We are. We're about to get started. This is our first live stream. We're just getting a few things set up. So I see us live on YouTube. And ooh, nice. If you search for Cisco Live 2025 on YouTube, we're the #3 link right now.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay.
Oh, I see what happened. This is their address from Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's
I
why
should call my buddy who's there. He's a good guy. I like him. He's probably one of the ones who's actually who arranged for this live stream.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, John, but I did the very first Cisco Live.
You told me that.
I did. I did. The one in Anaheim.
All right.
We built
the
ShowNet and what we used to call the international world of heavy things. Core demos.
I love it.
It's all sorts of fun. Because that stuff is heavy.
There's one person watching. That's me.
Well, I don't know.
Two.
I don't really want to watch. Okay. So I still haven't seen this. I'm following us on X, but I still haven't seen it show up as live. I'm not getting an alert. Why is this not doing this? Bear with us, folks. I know there's nobody out there, but we're going to pretend like there is.
Absolutely. I got a notification. And I'm watching.
Why didn't I? You got a notification on X, but I didn't? Interesting. Because I am following us. Wonder what's up with my algorithm. All right. Close that tab. Beat it with a stick. Bring it back up.
Notifications turned on for... Yep, and I see us on LinkedIn as well.
All right.
So I can always switch between them. Actually, I think... Nice. Okay. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome all of you to join when you get the opportunity. And we're going to go ahead and get going.
Yeah, we're just going to have some fun with this.
Absolutely. Greetings, everyone. This is John Barger for IT Sparkcast.
And Lou Schmidt, also for IT Sparkcast. Pardon our dust while we do this first streaming of something from Cisco Live. Okay, you all disappeared, John. Why did you do that? Okay, so apparently it's just me live. So while it's just me live and nobody's watching, just want to... Okay, you're back. You're coming back.
We had our first failure. We love it. So bear with us, folks. I accidentally swiped my touchpad, and it
was working, and you touched it, didn't you?
It was. That's exactly right.
Now, do you know about the maxims of highly efficient mercenaries? The 70 maxims? Oh, no. Well, you're missing out on some of the best science fiction out there from Schlock Mercenary. So the cartoons I reposted the other day. The maxim number 70 is failure is not an option. You will fail. The option is that the last thing you'll do?
Right.
Not here. We're going to fail, and we're going to keep learning.
We are going to fail, and we're going to keep learning.
That's okay.
I learn more from failures than I do from successes.
Successes are lovely. Huge.
They are.
But
are.
if you really
You've got
want to learn the
three-
experience, what
We've
do you
got
got?
three
Three
people
people?
watching on LinkedIn. That's great.
Cool.
So welcome aboard.
Hi. How you doing?
We've got a few people on YouTube. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get
Welcome.
started. So what we decided is I woke up this morning and I saw that Cisco had a keynote announcement from Cisco Live 2025. So what Lou and I figured we would do is we would watch this live with you and go through and give you our unfiltered feedback, opinions, and sarcasm as we go along. We're expecting all of that to come out today because this is going to be a lot of architecture, and we just love to dig on architecture. And we also like to dig on Cisco a little bit. So we'll see how that goes.
Seriously, some folks on this stream probably know I worked for Cisco for a decade. I was, as we were saying earlier, I was at the very first Cisco Live in Anaheim when we first built that when networkers transitioned.
Let's not be too let's actually talk about that. You were actually part of Cisco Live. You actually helped run Cisco Live.
Yeah,
the first one.
Yeah, but the thing is, you also have to keep an open mind about this stuff because the company that I left isn't the company that exists now.
No.
That is like clearly absolutely not the same. So for
Cisco's
better or for
40
worse.
years old.
Yeah,
this year. 40 years old this year. So
I'm still deaf from
cool.
the 25th anniversary. We had a big concert. 20th?
That's great.
We had Santana. Anyway, I got really good seats. It was awesome. They threw good parties. And you go through, they throw good parties at Live too. So it'll be interesting. So what's going on?
We're going to go ahead and just get this started. We're going to be talking over it and going from there. But we would love to hear your feedback as we go. So with that, we're going to get started. All right. That's good production value.
I'm looking for anybody I know in these pictures.
There you go. Good. I'm looking at multiple screens. I got playing multiple places.
And we are here to accelerate,
to amplify,
to inspire, and to showcase cutting-edge solutions,
new innovations, so that you can
go beyond.
Go beyond?
Go beyond what?
Hi, everyone.
Go beyond the licensing model?
And I'm Rob. I'm Cedric.
And I am.
And she is Alpha.
So
I'm the new Cisco Live
we discussed whether we should have a drinking game,
Welcome
and every time
to
we said
Cisco
AI,
Live
take a shot, we figured that we would be
Amsterdam.
bad.
I would die.
This year
of liver
is
poisoning.
extra special. We are celebrating 40 years of Cisco innovation, 4 decades of shaping the way the world connects and works and thrives.
4 decades of not being able to integrate technology we
to today's
go out and buy.
AI-powered networking, security,
killing
and
technology that
collaboration.
we bought.
Cisco has
Voice.
always been at the forefront of technology.
Now we're taking you beyond expectations, beyond possibilities, and beyond what's next.
beyond your budget.
AI.
Wow. Really,
This
guys,
is where technology meets reality, with hundreds of
Technology,
industry-leading demos where you can
reality.
experience all of the latest in networking, in security, in automation, and all hands
Automation.
on.
How's the audio sound though?
Did you tell them
it's
about
not
I just
bad.
turned it
It's
down
a
a
little
little.
loud. They said,
loud?
and they said AI
Artificial
again.
intelligence is changing everything.
So I
Self-healing
personally, my
networks
initial
to
response on this,
AI-driven IT
this would be a much
operations.
better
Explore
presentation
the
if they
AI
said
Hub and
quantum.
see how Cisco is leading
Quantum
the
is
way.
so much cooler.
Security
Quantum
has
is
never
cooler.
been more critical. Meet
But,
Cisco Hypershield, an
Honestly, some of this
AI-powered
looks like
system
some of the
offering you
things
tech
our
predict
former
and
colleagues would have put
cyber threats
together.
like never before.
Rowan
Oh,
and
yeah.
Justine and Isaac. Looks a lot like this.
Oh, yeah.
Definite zone is where you take control.
Yeah, I mean, I love the production quality of this. They got rid of their best spokesperson. Annie was the schnozzle, unfortunately. But okay, now I got no audio.
AI,
You got no audio at all?
Okay, there
Oh,
you
I
go.
muted myself. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
don't
a
do
good
that.
tip.
Don't mute
And
yourself.
what better
Yeah.
way to explore the future than through our amazing
All right.
keynote
As we said,
and
folks,
center stage
this is our
sessions.
first live stream.
This year you're going to hear directly from
We're
Cisco's
learning
top
as we go.
executives, as well as industry leaders about how we shape the next generation of innovation.
So I have to say,
Innovation.
yeah, a little bit higher, a little more gain, I think.
It's about connections.
On them?
Meet industry
Yeah.
leaders, Cisco engineers, and your fellow innovators.
Level up your expertise with our walk-in labs, technical sessions, certifications, all tailored
That's a
to
little
your
better.
expert level.
I can go
Of
higher
course,
if you
it
want.
wouldn't be Cisco
Nah,
Live
I
without
mean,
the
I'm the deaf
amazing
guy here,
connections
right?
That make this community
Yeah.
so special.
Whether you're here with us in person or joining us online, this is your chance to engage, share ideas, and be a part of the future.
Did that
of
reduce the
technology.
audio?
And you know what's really the future of
Seems to be
technology?
okay, but
It was blowing me out, so I wanted to lower it.
Whether
Yeah,
you're
it was
tuning in
blowing
for the
me out
first
as well,
time
so.
Or the 10th, Cisco Live is where you go beyond learning, beyond networking, and beyond what's possible.
So,
And
follow the action,
beyond what
share your
is
experience,
reasonably
and be
available
part
on
of
So
local
I don't know.
Join the
So
conversation
Lou
with
and I used to
hashtag
work
Cisco
at Extreme
Live,
Networks, and
EMEA.
a bunch of years ago,
Follow us
their
online.
tagline
Cisco
was
Live,
"Connect beyond the
EMEA.
network."
Welcome to
So it's a
Cisco
little funny
Live
that Cisco's doing it
2025
right now.
Amsterdam.
The problem is there aren't very many places you can go with Taekwondo.
And there you have it. Let's go beyond. Welcome, everyone. We are so glad to have you this year with us on the live broadcast from Cisco Live 2025 Amsterdam, bringing the power and the excitement of every single moment here at the RAI.
The power and
every single
excitement.
day and every single moment of this event. As you just saw there in that opening video, you have got 4 broadcast hosts. I'm one of them. I'm Steve Mulcher, and I'm going to be meeting you right here in the Cisco TV broadcast studio before and after each of the keynotes, which is going to kick off just 30 minutes from now, and then before and after each one of our fantastic center stage sessions with executives and thought leaders and partners and customers. Again, bringing you all of the latest and greatest in AI, as you just heard from Rob Boyd and all of the other great technologies that are driving us.
This is going to be
future here
nothing
in
but
this
an AI
exciting
fest, isn't
AI
it?
era.
Oh,
It
totally.
all kicks off
totally.
at 9:30 a.m. Central European time. We'll bring you every moment of the keynote right here on the live stream. We want to hear from all of you as well. As
I'm
Alpo just
going to
said in
post
that
something
opening
on
video,
on
reach out
LinkedIn.
to us
We want to
using
hear from you.
hashtag
Text,
Cisco Live
give us
EMEA
comments in
and
YouTube, on
Cisco
X,
Live
or on
EMEA.
LinkedIn. We're
Our
monitoring
social
all of
media
those.
Yeah,
So
we're
let us
active.
know.
We're
your
actively
comments,
up
all
on
your
link
photos, all of your
on all of
videos.
the
Be a
above
part
right
of the
now.
future. Be a part of the action by
So
staying in touch with us
the
on social
first thing
media.
I got to say is
As we
why
also said
in the
video,
world
it is extra special this
are
year. We are celebrating 40 years of
they
innovation
kicking
here at
this
Cisco.
off
We will
in the
talk so much
middle
about that
of
throughout the week.
a
As
continent
we
that's
head
had
into the keynote, I
basically
want to bring
zero
in one of your
growth
other
for the
hosts
past
here
20
on
years?
set with me.
Well, you know, it's
Good
interesting.
morning,
Based
Cedric
on what
Devalder.
France
Good
announced
morning, Steve.
yesterday,
It's good to see you again after 1 year.
or over the weekend, maybe,
It's hard to believe
they're
it's
going to
actually
try to
already
change
been
that.
1 year. Well, we did see each other
They
again at the GSX when
they're
we
going to
were,
be
out
they're
in
doing their
Las
own
Vegas, but,
version of
I don't know. This is just
This is something
the
different.
this is something different. This is
project,
so
not
entirely
Stardust.
special.
What was the project that
A
we're
few moments
doing?
ago, I mentioned
Stargate. So
40
they're doing
years
their
of
own version
Cisco
of Project
innovation, and
Stargate.
if you think about it, 4 decades ago.
Well,
we
okay,
had computers didn't equal
Stargate without the
communicating with one
innovation.
another,
I'm
right?
here
Today,
for it.
the
That's true.
network is
That's a problem,
connecting
and
everything. It's shaping
you
our
know,
world.
but they
So
said they're going to
in the
reduce
first 40 years, if
regulation,
you
and
think
they're
about
going to
what we did, we
go
built
for
that
some
foundation,
funding, and
right? We forged that
it
universal
could be interesting.
language
We'll have to
of
see. I think
connection
you're absolutely
machines that
right
were
that
isolated at one
in
particular point. Now,
Europe,
what do they do?
especially over the last
If they're connected,
10 or
they're
20
protected,
years,
as
we
we
haven't
say
seen a
across
lot of
our
innovation come out of
global
them,
central
but
nervous system.
this is an
What have
opportunity
you
for
seen
them to
walking
fix
around
that.
that's been exciting that really brings
Yeah,
the
I'd
40
like.
years
Well, I'd
together?
like to see it
Well, so we
happen.
actually
It
have
is.
Yeah,
an
it's
innovation
competition, and
through,
we all
like,
need
40
more
years of
competition.
Cisco
So I'm all
Yeah,
for
innovation.
that.
we
talk a
really
little bit
need
through history
that.
of
But
Cisco.
the big challenge to
I
me
did a
is
quick
like,
calculation
how do you do it?
myself. 40 years ago, it was
Yeah.
minus 13. Just saying, just putting that out there. But no,
Things have changed a bit, right?
Yeah, it changed a bit at a rapid pace, right? No, it's really great to kind of visit that here at the conference. We'll bring it to you as well live on the broadcast, like a little bit of the history of Cisco, like what has happened. But like being here today, right now, like we're gonna hear so much about AI, Steve.
Okay, so the
AI,
history is
AI, drink.
AI.
is
They
really
haven't talked about this at all
transforming
yet.
How we work, how we secure stuff. How
So
we
just for
connect.
folks in the
And we're
audience,
gonna
the
not,
history
like,
of Cisco is they acquire
I would
companies,
say-
they run them
I
for
don't know how
about
to say it,
two and a
actually,
half
Steve, like,
years.
we're gonna
They
go
don't
beyond,
actually integrate them
right?
into
And
anything
I've heard
else
that somewhere
unless
before. Is
the
it out here on the front to go beyond?
the
What is
people
go
that came
beyond? I
in
mean,
were
when we say
what we
go
call
beyond, right?
MPLS,
So
Mario,
last
Prem,
year
Luca, and
we
Sony.
had Let's
They
Go.
might get some
This year we've
integration,
got
nobody
Go
else
Beyond.
will.
What does Go Beyond
So
mean
the
to you?
big question
I
here
think last
is,
year with Let's Go, we pushed the
can they
boundaries, right?
actually
Now we're just gonna break
pivot
it,
their
right? We're gonna
organization
bring
to
new, amazing
actually do some integration?
technologies.
Because
we have the
this
keynote
is
later
this has
on,
been a
which is
huge
gonna bring our
challenge
executives on
if you're a
stage to
Cisco
talk about the
customer.
The
latest
most
and greatest
successful
innovation.
acquisition
We
I
have
would
the
have
world
to
of
say would
solutions
be
that we're gonna,
Meraki.
explore together with you
And
No.
like where we can meet our
really,
experts, where we can see
No,
some of our
because
partners in
Meraki
action, we can
ran
really see a lot of things happening.
by
I
themselves
don't
for
wanna
too long.
not give too much away.
This is the
yet.
same thing that
Some are
happened
giving
with
back
Lynxes,
We've got some
except they ended
exciting
up having to
news and
spin
great
Lynxes
announcements. We'll
out
talk
because they
about
never
those as
brought
well.
the
So
enterprise
now
value. In
you've
fact,
got,
right
two of
where
our
they
hosts.
really
Let's
need
meet the other
Lynxes
two.
is
We're going
right
to head
now.
out to the keynote space.
You're talking
Yeah.
about
Starting to
pushing
ramp up.
zero trust
Our
networking all the
own
way into the
amazing
home
Rob
office.
Boyd, as
If they'd
always,
been
is here
smart
with
and
us,
held
and
on
we
to
have
Lynxes
our
or been able to
newest
make it
host,
work,
the
that would have
delightfully
made
amazing
sense.
Alpa
Yeah.
Tankari.
But
Hello,
the
friends.
problem they have
Hello,
is,
Steve.
I would say their most
Cedric,
successful
Googity, Alpha, how you feeling?
acquisition
I'm so
was,
excited,
what was it?
Rob. Are you
Yeah.
Granite
looking this
Mountain, where
good?
they
It's
brought in
amazing.
Gigabit
I would never
Ethernet.
know that you hadn't done this before.
And
You
that's where
walk
they
with an
brought
air of
in Luca
confidence.
and his
That's a
team.
different
Right,
Cisco.
you pop.
It was a very
I'm
different
so
Cisco.
dull
Right. So I'm
compared
saying
to her,
in more
Steve.
modern
But
times,
listen,
the
we're having so
last
much fun
10
in here,
years.
as you would expect.
I know
Starting to
Chuck
flow
has been
in. We're
trying to
about,
change things,
I don't know,
Yeah.
20 minutes. We keep having to adjust
but when
volume on our
but
comms
most
because
people I
it's
know
getting
who
louder and
are
louder
in
in here,
Cisco
which
or survived that
personally I
long,
like.
whatever,
At some point, though, Steve, I'm going to be able to
your
say,
biggest
I really
enemy
couldn't hear you, so
isn't
forgive
some
me.
external competitor.
What are you
It's
looking
another
forward to
business.
the most, Rob?
And
Yeah.
I know
Anyway,
Chuck's been
we're
trying
gonna
to
be
deal with that,
getting
but I
some
don't know
different
how
interviews
much
here, and
success
then we'll
he's
come back
having.
to you guys shortly.
Thank you so much, Rob. Alpa, you can
Good
hear
luck, Chuck.
again if you're listening in on the broadcast.
Yeah,
It's
really.
already starting to get
Why
very loud
not?
out there. They're not going to be able to hear anything, as Rob said a moment
So,
ago. But the beauty of having Alpa and
I
Rob
think
out there in
we
the
got a
keynote
while
space
till
is
they
they're
actually
going to
get
be
to
able
the
to
true
bring us some
keynote. So
interviews with some of the change
Yeah,
I mean,
I
should
know. I
we
mean,
and the
it's
should we
pacemakers
fast
and the people
forward?
who are bringing
We
us
do
these
have that
new
ability here.
technologies and releases. They become our eyes on the
This
inside. Even the folks
this
who are
prep
here
stuff
in
I think is just
Amsterdam
getting
don't
people to
get the
join.
benefit
Maybe
yeah.
we'll
I
just let
mean, well,
the
a
same
lot of
happen. We'll
that.
get people to join.
like all of you do.
This is going to be the
So,
way these things
Cedric,
go, right?
we're
There's a
about
lot of
what is it,
filler.
20 my clock.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're 20
Hold on.
minutes, 21
Yeah.
minutes-ish away from Keynote. You can tell my eyes are bad. I can't even
So
see
they're
my own clock
21
out here.
minutes away from
But,
actually announcing
Oliver,
anything
Tusik,
useful.
Jito Patel, Tom Gillis, Kamahati, Anurag Dhingra.
So
they're gonna
I just want to
welcome
thank
you
everybody that
amazing
is
people. We've got
watching,
Cisco partners
whether you're
coming
watching
down,
live or you're watching
customers,
this later.
special guests,
We've
Sure.
seen a huge
all
uptick
of the
in
latest and the greatest
subscribers
ways
and
that
comments
Cisco is out there
recently. And so we just
revolutionizing
want to let you know that we
infrastructure, the
really
way that we're,
appreciate you.
changing data.
And
The
we
idea is
would love
how
to hear
do
more
we
from you.
connect
You
and
can
protect everybody who's watching,
put
all the people
comments
here at the
below
show,
this
their
video, whatever platform
organizations.
you're
This is an
on, YouTube,
intimidating and
X,
overwhelming,
LinkedIn.
but really
You can send us
impressive AI
email,
era, right?
feedback at
This keynote
itSparkcast.com.
means that
Or,
everybody watching the broadcast,
you know,
everybody
there's
here
just
at
a
the
number of
show in
different ways. You can always just
Amsterdam
reach out to
will
us
be the very
directly on
first to
X as
hear
well. We're
some
IT
great new
Sparkcast on
launches,
X.
right?
Yeah, I think what's
And
really
you can see
exciting
our
about
X
Cisco,
handles
Steve,
under
I
our
think,
names
is
here on the
we're
video.
like it's a
So
full stack.
we want to hear from you. We love the
Right? Like,
interaction.
we have our data
And
centers that
just
are like
can't wait to
AI
hear more
ready.
from you.
We have like
So yeah, I just
networking that we
added a
can just, like,
comment to
put an AI
LinkedIn.
layer on layer on top of
So
it to
feel
make it
free.
secure. So like
I'll,
we have
you
so
know,
many
John, I'll
products
tell
that
you
we
what,
can
I'll
learn about
concentrate
this
on
week.
LinkedIn.
And something I'm
Do you
really
have the
excited to
YouTube
hear
stuff
more
up?
about is
Okay.
Cisco AI Defense. A
And
couple of weeks ago
we can do
in
that.
Palo Alto, California, we had one of our events going on, like
And I'll go to
Cisco
X
AI
as well.
Summit, and like a lot of Fortune 100 leaders were there.
You
to
said you put a
listen to Chuck
comment
and work
on,
with the leadership team
Yeah, I just
on
put a
the latest and
comment
greatest
under the
innovations there.
LinkedIn live stream. I
So
have
I'm
it
looking
up
forward for that
sort of up
session
in front of
center
me, which
stage. I even know that
introduces
some-
somebody
comment.
rebooked
I don't
there
like
for
looking
like
at
scheduled
myself
their
that much.
flight. They
Yeah, I
couldn't
know
attend
you
the
guys don't
morning,
like it
but they were
either.
like,
I
"No,
get
I want to
that.
hear all of this
Yeah,
right
it's-
now," and we're just gonna I'm
Face
just
for
gonna rebook it,
podcasting,
and,
that's what I
like,
got.
We're gonna go.
Oh,
Like,
God.
that summit. So I'm really excited that like we're
But-
here and like we can learn all
Yeah,
about
let me,
that.
And
let me
that's
load
the
up
whole point
X
of
as
being
well.
here in
I
the
should have
room
brought
is
my
you get to be
iPad
the
down for
first to
that.
understand what's going on, and also you get the access to the people who are building these capabilities, the technologists, the designers, the
right.
developers, the creators, the minds. Who
So
are
it's really
coming up
interesting right
with
now. They're
not
talking
only
about the
what we're
people
supposed
that
to build,
build
but
this
also
stuff
how do
in.
we future-proof.
They are.
And the
And
way
right
we get
there in the
there
background
we
is your
listen
guy with
to,
the
we
perfect
talk to
comment
people. I
hauling
always like to
the
say that
garbage bin
Cisco
behind him
is
because
farthest thing from an island.
my
We can
experience
create on the
was if
road
you
with
built the stuff
incredibly brilliant
inside
minds.
up
It's
to
those
about
partnerships that allow us
Wi-Fi,
to get where we need to go. We have to listen to what the customer is
voice over
saying,
IP,
and then
and
we have
Tech
to listen to
Center,
our partners, and they help us
basically you weren't
drive
going to
that
get any
technology.
And
traction.
that's such an
You had to
integral
come from
part
an
of being here
external
live on the show
acquisition, which
floor,
means
really
that
being able to have
aligning
that human interaction,
the
being
resources has
meet with
always
our
been a
engineers.
challenge.
Like, we're here just next to the
Folks
main
on the,
village
you
where a
know,
lot
if
of
there's
meetings
anybody
are taking
here
place,
from
where you
Cisco
can
that's
like
actually
walk into an
watching
engineer
this
on the other
that can
side,
update
and
my
next to the
viewpoint on this,
solutions
I'd
we
love
have
to
like
hear.
or walk-in
I
labs.
mean,
Like
I
I
know
had
it's
already
not the
visited
same.
the
I know what
Passion
I
Flag
saw.
booth yesterday.
I
So
know
like,
what all my
there's
friends
a
who've
lot of
been out
opportunity
have
to meet
seen.
like friends, colleagues, but also
Nobody
Cisco experts,
markets
and really
better than
understand like
Cisco.
how Cisco
Really good
can
marketing, right?
bring
But
Cisco's
that kind of
top
AI,
what
at
we haven't
marketing.
been
And
seeing
marketing's what
is,
wins,
into
man.
your
It
organization,
is what
helping
wins.
transform. And I think it's
yeah,
just the
It's not
it's.
always the
to
best
be,
tech
even if you're not here
or on the
live.
read
I
the
Like,
best
mean,
we will
sales.
help you cover
It's the
that.
best marketing
Exactly.
that
But get
wins.
here live.
I,
Remember, this
I
is
do
all
have
about
to
vision.
say
It's
the
just
marketing
vision
has
towards
always
the
been
future.
astounding. I
Speaking of
learned
vision, I'm looking up
technical
here at my camera,
marketing.
and I see Rob Boyd,
I was
who
one of the
believe
first
is with one of our
TMEs
Cisco
before it was a
champions out in the
PME,
keynote space,
right?
right, Rob?
I am
At
Steve,
Cisco,
and actually,
TME's
I'm here
always
on a hunt. I'm
TME was
hunting to
defined by
uncover
Cisco.
information.
People who
There's a
do
tradition in
the
Cisco
solutions
that
and
some
stuff
would
like
say
that,
is not well
defined by
enough
Cisco. What we
established. I'm
found
going to
out
give
is
you
it
a
doesn't
hint at what it
scale
might be
real well.
here.
So
But
there's
basically,
still a
I've got
whole
one of
bunch
the
of
gentlemen in this photo
challenges.
whose
Plus,
name I'm
there's
not very good
people
at
wearing
pronouncing, and
dresses on that
I'm
screen. What the
very
hell is up
nervous
with
about
that?
trying to do it. But let's introduce you. Tell us who you are, who you work for, and what you're most excited about now.
Well, my name is Sibren Beukenkamp. I work for Three Corners. I'm owning Three Corners. And our main focus
Wow.
is Cisco collaboration and
Corners?
WebEx portfolio, based in the Netherlands. And I'm so glad to be here as well.
Well, let me ask you about this picture here. I'm going to hold it up while they do it, but tell us about Kilted Mondays. Is it?
Kilted Monday. Okay, that's a good question.
Why are you
Kilted
wearing a
Monday
kilt in
started 10
Netherlands?
years ago at Cisco
Says the
Live.
guy who lives near
Kind
the
of spin-off with a
largest
few guys,
Highlands games in
emphasizing
existence,
inclusivity.
which is
Wearing a kilt,
right over there, a place
promoting
called
inclusivity
Grandfather
for any
Mountain.
gender, whoever you
You
are.
know about that.
My best friend is
where
of
you
Scottish
come from.
descent.
So
So you're not
He
allowed.
likes to
Oh,
tease me about
actually,
being
did you
German. I
know?
tease him about being
emphasize
Scottish.
that. And the other one is it's
Although
fun.
I'm a fan
It's
of
really fun.
Scotch.
It's really
I
fun.
have
So you're
been officially
like-minded, you have a
adopted
connection, you're growing
into
your
a
network.
Scottish family.
So that's
Nice.
very cool to do.
I have
I
a
was always
tartan.
intrigued by it because I never
It's
want to
the
pass up a
family is
chance to
Arbuthnot. It's
get
not
a
a
new
clan.
outfit, you know,
It's your
wear
clan if
something
you're up in the
funny
mountains, right?
not funny, I don't mean it that
You're
way,
the
but
family
something
if you're
that
down on the
maybe
lowlands.
forces me to be a little bit more vulnerable, you know, show some
Have you ever been to
For
Scotland?
sure, you're way
I
out
have
of your
not.
comfort zone.
One of the
I,
few places
I've
Tell
been
me
I've
about
been a
from
couple times.
content and really
Edinburgh
technology
was
perspective.
awesome.
You guys specialize in WebEx
Talk to
collaboration
some friends about
technologies.
heading
What
over
do you
there
think
in
is most
few
important to understand about
months.
where we're going with those technologies as
They're
we
going to be
now
in
Wait,
Europe
wait a
anyway.
minute. He's
really
talking
open it
about
up wide for the
WebEx.
year?
I want to hear about
Well,
this
the
guy.
Oh, yeah,
main
sorry.
thing we are trying to emphasize is make it cross-platform. So it's not just WebEx. We would like to have the ability to enable everyone to communicate to each other, so we are really focusing and strengthening the cross-platform approach of WebEx.
So this plays back
Excellent.
to our
I want to
discussion
thank you
of
for your
remote
time.
work.
We're going to have to cut back over
Yeah,
to the studio,
Right, the
guys.
100%.
I'm going
whole
to find some more
idea
Cisco
of
champions
taking
if we have time for that.
this
Either way,
real-time communication
this
and
is a lot of fun,
integrating it.
guys.
And that
Back
was
to you
what
in
I
the
was
studio.
hoping
Thank
to
you
see
so much,
more
Rob. I
of.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
no,
by the way,
absolutely
the fact that you
right.
don't own a kilt,
Although
actually would
I
laugh
gotta
when
say,
we get to this
WebEx,
particular point. I mean, you're a
that would
biker.
be
You need
one of
the
those resume generating events for me. I would be.
And it wouldn't go around me, and then I lost a
If
little bit more weight, and now
we
it's
started
starting
using
to go.
WebEx, I'd be out.
So I'm still working it out. I got to get the right size.
Well,
too. I
But-
the
realize I
thing
don't know
is
how many
that
rules I'm
it's not,
breaking, and I need
you
to-
know,
breaking any rules.
the
So
WebEx
that's
team,
the
as I
fun
said,
part.
this is the challenge that
Wearing a
Cisco
kilt,
has.
whatever shoes,
They bring in the
whatever you do,
people,
it's whatever
they
suits you.
buy the
That's my kind of
vision,
fashion.
and then they
All
go
right,
and
back to you
execute
guys.
on the
Thank you,
vision.
Rob. Appreciate it.
It's
Next
been my
Cisco Live, I'm
excuse.
bringing you a kilt. I'm bringing you a sporting bag. We're going to get you all set up. You're going to be
Zoom
good to go. We are
is
15
WebEx
minutes
version
out
2.
from the
It
opening
is. It's the
keynote.
same
So glad
guys
to have
that
you
start
with
that
us.
built the
Same
original
people,
WebEx.
Stay with us for
Well,
all
every
the-
I think
one of the
WebEx
insights
probably
that
started
throughout
out
the show. By
fine.
the way,
I think
Cisco
it's the
champions,
baggage
we're
that
gonna
had to
keep
drag
talking to them.
along
For
with
those
it
of
of
you
all
that
the
don't know what
legacy
the
gear
champion
and legacy
program is all about,
protocols.
these are not
That and
Cisco
I don't know if it's
people.
changed, but its
These are not
recording
Cisco
was
employees.
always a
These
little
are the
wonky,
folks
like
who
recorded in
believe
a
in
weird
Cisco, who are
format.
invested deeply in Cisco, who partner
And
with
I
us.
always have
And
problems
I
with
don't
that.
know. I mean, are we
Cedric,
off
that
base here?
we can talk Cisco
Is
all
this
day
Yeah, let us
something
long.
know.
that?
The way
How do
we
you
Yeah,
feel?
let us
what
know. I
Cisco
mean,
is,
If
we're
you
looking at
like,
this. We're like,
by going out and
if
speaking
you're a
with the
fan of
people who
WebEx,
use
let us
Cisco
know.
in the
Also, let us know
trenches
what kind of
every single
medication
day,
you're on,
what they're able
because
to achieve on
that's
behalf of
something
their
I'm.
customers and their customers' customer, thanks to their partnership
I
with
want to
Cisco.
know.
And that's,
I want
think,
to. I
why
want to
oh
get some
my
of that.
program
God,
is so
I'll talk
valuable.
to my
that is so
doctor.
No, it's
brutal.
really valuable, and I just want to add
Yeah,
one thing
I
to Rob.
mean,
Like, I
I've
could talk
used
all
it.
day
I've
about
had to
kilts.
use
My
it
other half
talking
is
to
Scottish, so I'll
customers
give
when
him
I
like
was no longer
I'll
at
give him a
Cisco,
kilt.
and
But basically, yeah, the
it was
The best thing I have to say
okay.
about modern WebEx is that it
our community
now
at
works in a
Cisco,
web
and we really
interface, and so I
appreciate
don't
them.
have
And
to
I
install
think
the
you
software
can
if I
see
need
that
to
it
jump
goes
on a
through
WebEx
also
call.
with our customers.
That's how long it's
right?
been
Like we
since
have our
I've used
Cisco
it.
insider
Yeah,
stands
no.
and booths.
The
We
last
like to get our
3 or
customers
4
on stage as well, because
WebEx
who
calls I
is
had to get on, I
better
did through the web
besides
interface,
you, Steve,
and it worked all
telling
right.
Cisco's story
But
than actually your customers, right? Really seeing how their
So I
businesses
mean,
are
the
being
interesting thing is
transformed by
talking to
bringing our
customers and these
technology
things.
into
I
their actual
that's the
business,
part I used to
seeing the
love about
results and
these.
sharing that
Yeah.
That's the
with
thing
others.
because I did
And
trade
talking
shows
about
for 3.5
sharing,
years
what I also like is
there,
that
and
we
then
have
I
a
did it in
purpose
other places as
pavilion
well.
here at Cisco
And
Live,
the
right?
best
Because
part was finding out what the
really
actual use
resonated
case
with
was.
with Cisco Champion on
And
screen, not
because
just in the
nobody
like just a
ever,
second
I don't
ago,
care how
like
smart you are,
connecting
until you've
and
gotten in
really
front of a
doing this for
customer
the
and heard their
community
pain,
is
you,
also
you really
such a
you have
big part
some
of Cisco's
dim
DNA.
idea in your
So I'm
head of
also
what's
looking
going to
forward to
happen.
kind of checking it out.
Reality is when
Absolutely,
customers start
absolutely. Now, I
deploying
want to
it.
talk a bit more about that
And
in a
that's a
moment.
lot of
Right
stuff we
now, I see
listened
that
to in
Alpine
our
is
previous
out on the
life.
show floor and has found a friend. Hello, my
was
friend.
what was the
Hello,
experience?
Steve and Cedric. I
Okay, we
have
got a
indeed.
new thing coming
It's
up here.
so
Let's listen to this.
exciting being here, and I'm
Okay,
really
so it's 9
delighted
a.m. and
to
nobody
have
is
found
obviously
Rodney
drinking
Clark.
yet.
Hi, Rodney.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. So
Okay,
you
so
are
we got
our
another customer
SVP of Partnerships and Small and Medium Business. How are you finding Cisco Live so far?
I always love Cisco Live. This is my second time here, Cisco Live EMEA. And yesterday we kicked off our event with over 1,000 partners, talking to them about the technology that we're going to hear and
This is
see
channel
about in
guy.
just a few minutes, and also
Well,
our new partner program.
partners
So it was a
partners
really
is always
great way
interesting.
to get started
Yeah.
with Cisco Live and get excited about today's announcements.
They get excited
Amazing,
and
our partners
then
are so
they don't
important in
listen to the
helping our
pain
attendees
of trying
and
to
our
actually
Top
get
tier
this
Cisco
stuff.
partners get
going
excited.
beyond,
All of us,
right?
from what I've talked to,
Any
every
tips or
mid
any
to
advice for
lower
our
tier
customers
Cisco partner feels
ahead
abused.
of the next few days to come? What they should look out for?
I've heard that as well.
Well, I mean, we're
Yeah.
excited. We've got
But
announcements
that said,
around our
you know,
AI defense, which we announced actually and talked
AI
about
and
a few
AI
weeks ago.
defense.
We've got
So
some
there's a lot of
Wi-Fi
that out there right
7
now.
announcements. There's so much here, but back to our business and the partners that are here. They're basically here to help customers experience all of Cisco. I always say that they are virtually Cisco. They are extended part, and they are every part of our Cisco.
Yeah, the channel is a
Salesforce,
force multiplier
our
for any
technical
sales
support,
organization.
It always
our
is, and they've
technical
always done a great job
specialization, and
here.
so our
But
partners are here to help our customers
riffing off of
experience a better
what you
Cisco
just
Live.
said, you're part of
Amazing.
Cisco, so that
And
pain you
one
feel,
thing that you're
yeah,
personally
people inside
looking
feel
forward
that
to
too.
this week.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Oliver. He's always full of surprises, and I know he gets super excited for all of his customers in EMEA. And then the excitement and energy that G2 is going to bring about the innovation that Cisco is bringing to market. Those are two things that I always get excited about.
Amazing, me too. So we're eagerly
Did they announce something
waiting
called
for that all to
G2?
start.
Or
And
he's
in
talking about,
meantime,
like,
I'm handing
Oh, I
over
think
the
she
stuff
said
over
reconnaissance
me
to you,
too.
Steve and
Oh, me
Cedric.
Thank you so much, Alpha, and to Rodney as well. About 1,000 people, 1,000 partners over at that meeting yesterday. Incredible. And we are going to hear from Oliver and G2 in about 11 minutes, according to the clock that I've got up here in the studio. Very excited about that. Stay with
11
us.
minutes,
Cedric,
all
I wanted to come back to a couple of things. First of all, a couple of statistics.
It's really,
right?
really
So
hard to
Rodney just
fill
says
these.
1,000
It's always a
partners
challenge
here.
to fill
Yep.
these blanks, right?
17,000 people
It
here at the
is.
event, which shows you
So.
the incredible growth of what's
All
happened
right.
here at Cisco Live EMEA. But some more specific stats. 37%, more than a third of the people, it is their first Cisco Live. So for all of you who are watching here on the broadcast and thinking, well, do I go? Do I not go? Be one of the 17,000. Be one of the 37% next year that comes in. But 31% of the people here at the show,
17,000
for third
attendees.
time or
My
more
third
here
time.
at Cisco
Yeah,
Live.
it's
your
normally
third
been very
time.
big.
I'll
That's
let you ask my
crazy.
number a little bit later. We'll go on with that.
I mean,
But,
the
800
networkers
speakers,
we did
1,300 plus
in
conference
New
sessions.
Orleans
You listen to
before
what it is that
we
has
went to
been
live,
put
and that
together
was
by
the
this
year
team, what
before the
Manish Shapira
hurricane
and his
hit.
team have put together for this
We had
incredible
to
event. And you
actually,
just think,
we
wow,
broke
you've had
NAT
30 years of Cisco, but to get to this
Wow.
stage
in
where
its
you're
original
bringing
configuration.
and
We had
energy
to,
and
one of our
excitement around the
guys,
Cisco
Rich,
brand and what
went
we're
in and
achieving,
had to
I think
fix
it's
the
remarkable.
the
And we
picks.
talked
It
about
was
it
a
out
straight
in the
up picks,
showcase yesterday. Have
and
you had a
add
chance to
more
walk the
address space
showcase,
to
the
it and change a
Clarinet
bunch of
area?
values
I
because
did.
we had, I
I
think,
love that
something like
area.
5,000
I love
people
it. So
there, which was
actually
just
having
crazy.
a race car on site. There is a security guard next to it. You can't touch it apparently.
I like the
But
color
I'm
scheme
so
of the
looking
flags
forward to
behind them,
checking that
those
out later.
banners.
There's
It's
simulators.
that's our Spark
And then that's kind of
color
just the
scheme.
partnership angle, but there's
Fading
just so
from
much
red
Well,
to
I
yellow.
mean,
great
everybody wants to
technology,
be cool.
cards that you can
You know how
Everybody
that
wants to
is.
be cool. Everybody
I
wants
saw
to.
that we have an
Yeah,
We all
AI
want
do
to.
that with
We all
us.
want to
you
be
can also
cool.
see like where you
It's
stack
just
on the actual rank in terms of like
some people
are
can
you
get away
pioneer,
with
are
it.
you
Some people
lagger?
can't.
Would you say you're a pioneer or a lagger?
I'm all
Actually?
kinds of lagger. I've redefined the word lagger. Next to lagger in the dictionary is my picture.
You've
I should
redefined the
take
word
advantage of that.
laggard.
Dictionaries have pictures.
No,
Yeah,
I
he's
absolutely
saying
do.
he's a technology
Cedric,
laggard.
I'm going
He's
to break away
late
from
to
us in a
adopt.
moment because I think, did I hear that Alpha
Well,
actually tracked down
that's
Cheryl Lynch out there in the
probably
keynote
a
space?
lot of
Oh,
Cisco's
yes,
customer
I
base
have.
now.
There's so many amazing people out here. And
By the way, that's
talking
not
about
as
amazing people,
much of a
hi,
dig at
Cheryl.
Cisco as you
Hi,
think.
nice
It's
to
just
see you.
You too.
I don't
Tell
go to
us all
Cisco for
about
cutting
what
edge
you
technology.
do.
No,
Yep. So my
they've
name's
said
Cheryl
innovation
Lynch.
like
I am a
what
senior
Yeah,
10
director
times
at
since it's
Cisco
gone.
IT,
you don't
and
like
I lead our agile transformation.
for security stuff
But
like that.
this
You
week,
don't
I
do
am
that,
here at Cisco Live
right?
to
It's
Senior
lead
too
director of
big to
agile
be
transformation.
our
to
IT
innovate.
leadership program. Really excited.
What they
Amazing.
do
Now,
is
tell
integrate.
us all about
Sometimes.
the IT
You said
leadership
doo-doo.
program.
Yeah, it's a
Be great. I'd
program
love to see more of
designed
it.
by IT leaders
Doo-doo?
for IT leaders. We have
Mhm.
curated the best speakers from across Cisco. They're going to do presentations, they will do Q&A, they'll lead panels.
I guess when I talk to you, I should probably
we
do
have
this.
our own theatre
Look up
and a
at kids.
lounge for our guests
You know,
to
you can look down at
mingle
me.
and meet with other leaders, and an amazing guest speaker on Thursday.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I want to join. So tell us, what can leaders expect when they join the program?
Yeah, so jam-packed 3 days.
So
as I
if
say,
you join the
of
program,
speeches, of all sorts of things, but most importantly,
they will
they're
do
gonna
all
get an
sort of
opportunity
thing,
to
all
build their
sorts of
business
things to you.
acumen,
After
to
which point you'll
expand
really
their
love their
technology
stuff.
expertise,
3
but
days.
mostly forge forge
if you're down
connections
with that,
other
that's great.
leaders
I mean,
across
you
the
can
region.
make a lot of
So
money on this stuff.
important and amazing opportunity
Or
for
maybe
everybody
you
to
can.
connect.
It really
Are
does
there
depend,
any kind of
because
final tips
sometimes if
that
there's
you'd
a
like to
specific
give
niche
our
you're
viewers
targeting,
out there
And
IT
they did
leadership
an acquisition
program.
in that niche, and
I
that
think for me the
acquisition
most
gets to
exciting
the
thing
2-year
is that we
timeout
take all the
period,
things we
which is
see in Cisco
normally the
Live,
lockup
and
for
you
the
come to the
stock
leadership
when
program
they've
and
done
hear
the
technology
acquisition.
leaders talking about it in the
Yeah.
real world.
It could
It's
go away
amazing.
after that.
Very excited.
Absolutely. And on
I
that
got a
note
buddy
of
that was over at
excitement,
Thousand
Steve,
Eyes. I want to
Cedric, we're
see
coming
how that
back to you.
Thank you so much, Alpha, and to Cheryl as
acquisition
well. Great
transition
energy, great excitement around IT.
from an
Cedric, you
internal
had something you
standpoint.
wanted to mention here?
Yeah, I think what's really
Cedric's
cool
want to
about the IT
mention
leadership
something. We got to
program,
pay
if you
attention to
think about your
Cedric.
business, right? You have like your tech builders, like your innovators, and you have your business leaders. Your business leaders can go to the IT leadership
This guy's
program.
like the
Your
nerdy
tech
Ryan
builders can come to
Seacrest.
the conference, walk the show floor, get nitty-gritty with the technical detail. Then you all fly home, you put the two together, and you have the perfect strategy to move forward.
Yeah, that never
I
happens.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Have you actually?
I don't know
asked
what the
Cheryl
hell they're
about
talking
that,
about,
or-
because
Oh,
that
I would
never
love to
happens.
hear.
The business
Well,
people
you know what?
ignore the
Thursday,
tech
maybe you
people,
can head over with
and then
Alpha
tech
and we
people
can
think the
be part of
business
that,
people are
part of that
crazy.
program in the
Deal.
afternoon.
And
I just wanna
until the
quickly
network
mention
goes down or
again
you go
our
out of
social
business.
media hits. If you're
Yeah.
out there watching
So
the
I,
broadcast, please reach out to us, to everybody here at the show. with your
reasonably
comments,
speaking,
your photos, your video. You can grab screenshots of what you're watching here.
about
on
90%
the
of what we're
live
seeing,
stream on
we're
your
about to
computer from
see,
home or from work
is
or
stuff
wherever
you
happen
shouldn't
to
even
be,
have to think about.
using hashtag Cisco Live EMEA and hashtag and at Cisco Live. Hashtag, one hashtag. One is plenty. Hashtag Cisco Live EMEA at Cisco Live EMEA. Exactly. I got distracted because I'm looking out and we can see.
You know, one of the
He's
things I'd like
looking
to
at
hear
me.
from the
Well,
listeners
it's getting incredibly crowded out
is
there.
what
And I can
platforms
tell
would you
Rob is
like us to be
already
streaming on
he's
more?
shaking his head,
I'm
trying
finding
to
I'm
hear.
getting a
He's
lot
fixing his
more
hair. He's trying
engagement
to
on
figure
both
out what it is
X
that we're saying.
and
Can you
on
hear a
LinkedIn
word
than
I'm
we are on
saying out
YouTube.
there,
We're getting
Rob?
an increase in traffic on YouTube,
Not to
but
hear you.
LinkedIn and X
Steve,
are
I've
really
got
doing
you.
well
You
for us.
throwing to us
What
yet
do
or
you
no?
want to?
Yeah, go
Do you want us
for
to
it.
stream
All right,
more
hey, I want you
on those
guys to
platforms? Do you want us
introduce
to
you. I want
upload
to introduce you
our
to Malcolm.
content
Malcolm
directly
is
to X or
apparently
LinkedIn,
the
or would
boss.
you rather
He runs
watch
a
it on
company out
YouTube?
of
Let us know.
Scotland. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah,
Edinburgh, Scotland.
As if you couldn't
we'd be
tell where
happy
he
to
might
check
be
that
from.
out.
But either way, I love
Yeah.
that accent. But tell us more about what you guys do.
Yeah, so our company is called MNB Networks, and we're a Cisco partner. We help customers deliver different infrastructure projects across the Cisco portfolio: LAN, WAN, security, wireless, data center.
Well, you're telling me on the side that you guys are particularly focused on automation, and just a general question, because I feel
Yeah,
like
the challenge with
automation is one of those
automation with
things
Cisco
that
is they were
everyone I've
never
worked
able to
with
get
really
their fabric to
aspires to,
work.
but we're only doing it
Yeah.
in small areas,
Yeah.
and we're having trouble.
In other words, if you
automating
put a
across
fabric
domains,
across your
and there's a
entire
little bit of
network,
tension there to overcome. But I think there's
automation's
big
done.
things to be had from that. Curious about
You're
your
done.
thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think like what we try to automate where things make sense. You know, you're never going to be able to automate every part of your infrastructure. So the types of things that we'll do are we will interrogate the network, devices, systems, and bring data back to tools like Netbox, for example, and then visualize them in BI tools like Grafana and so on. So we're really more about
So
you
as
know,
that seems
when-
more
when
like
we've
a
got that
server
data in a
slash
repository
integration
like
play.
Netbox, we
Yeah,
then look
yeah.
at doing things like rendering configuration
Right.
files.
Yeah, I think
and
you're right though. The Fabric
standardizing,
is the
config
ultimate
templates
network
and stuff
automation
like that.
tools. Forget everything
I mean,
else.
we
It
don't
really
go
is.
out and say we
Whether
automate every
you do
configuration you ever need
a
to push
traffic
out to your
engineered
network,
fabric
but
or an
config
auto fabric,
standardization is a big area,
um,
and
to the
providing
fact that
some business
we
intelligence on
haven't
what's really
achieved
happening in the
that,
network.
the fact
It's
that we
yeoman's
need
work,
this
and
much
it does
engineering
require a lot
on
of
something
coordination
that
back and forth. With
shouldn't,
that, Steve,
that
I'm
should
gonna
be
throw back
fully
to you guys in the
automated.
studio.
Rob, keep it with you for a moment. Would you ask
Completely.
Scott
You
if
shouldn't
this is
be
his
you
first
shouldn't be
Cisco
making
Live,
these
or how many
decisions.
Cisco Lives
You
he's
don't, you
been
shouldn't need to.
Is this your first Cisco Live,
Right.
or have you been to some?
And then
I've been to
ideally
several
integrate that
before.
fabric across an
NetBet this year,
SD-WAN
so
solution
good.
so
And I've been
that
to the
everything
US
is just
a couple of
all
times
together
as
on a
well.
network.
So,
You don't
yeah.
have to
Well,
worry
I
about
don't I don't see any
You
reason why
prepared to
you
go beyond this year?
can't.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
But the problem
absolutely.
is there's this
Absolutely,
huge.
yeah. And lots of AI.
Listen to
and all
what
that
he's
kind
doing.
of
He's
thing
talking
as well.
about Grafana and stuff like
Hey, well,
that.
they're
He's
ratcheting up the
taking
energy, and
network
you can kinda
stuff and
feel it, can't you?
talking
Got a
about
little
how to
darker,
present it.
music got a
But
little bit louder.
the
We're
more,
breaking
you
out
know,
some
I used to be
lasers,
really
think,
into
here in just
that.
a minute, and there's a 3-minute clock. Steve,
And
you
now
ready to
I'm
take it back over?
I'm going
thinking
to take it back
that
over. Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks again to Scott as
I
well.
don't want to
3.5
hear
minutes
squat about
out
my
from the
network
keynote
unless there's
ish,
a problem.
something along that. Don't
Unless
hold us too close
something
to it,
is
but we're
trending,
watching the clock
you know,
tick down.
optic
And as
is
soon
about
as
to time out,
Oliver
power's
Fitz, who
dropping
are
on the
ready to take the
laser,
stage, they will
DNS
let us
timing
know.
is
Cedric, let me
gone
come back to you. I mentioned a little
wonky,
bit earlier
my
what's happening
identity
out in the
cache
world of
is not
solutions,
working, something like
specifically in
that.
the Cisco
I need to
Showcase,
know
right,
that
which is
before
always
the
my favorite
customer
spot
knows
throughout
that,
the
before
show,
my
because it's the
customer, who's my
only
user,
opportunity
or
we
somebody
have
outside
to
is
gather
using my
more
services,
than
right?
100 of our
Yep.
tech demos, all of the cutting edge capabilities.
Grafana,
They
putting
all
something
integrate
like
and
that,
connect
a
with one
graphical
another,
back
put
end
them
on
all
it,
together so it's a
is
combination
all
of
about
tech
covering your
demos and
butt.
interactive product zones and
It's not
immersive
about fixing
experiences
things.
across
It's
networking
about
and visibility and
outputting a report
observability
that
and
says
Cisco
we
IT
put all this
and
money into
security
this
and so on.
system, is trying to
But
do
we
something.
talked briefly about McLaren.
And
They
I'm
had
not
a
actually saying that's a bad thing
partnership, and I
because
think
you
that
have to
circuit, the Cisco
justify
circuit, which is what we call
to
it out there,
management why you
is
spend all
so
this money on
remarkable
Cisco
because
or
it ties
Juniper or
together
Extreme
so
or
much of
HP,
how we're
whatever,
using
right?
AI today.
We spend a lot of
how
money.
We're helping the McLaren team win races. What
And
have you
people
seen,
are really
real-time data,
very silly.
real-time security.
Yeah,
connecting
real-time security, all
everything,
this stuff.
right?
Yeah,
We're
you
really
are.
kind of giving them
How many
a
breaches were
competitive
there in
edge
ICE
on
last year?
off the track.
ISE,
I think that's great.
the
I don't
security
really watch
engine.
Formula One that
So
much, but I got into it because of Cisco actually.
these guys have a ways to go.
And it's just nice to
And
know
it's a
that we
patchwork,
can
and that's the
change
problem.
lives through the
Cisco's core
products that we
competency
make,
isn't taking
that
patchworks
we
and
can
making them work
transform
as
these
one.
businesses. They can
Correct.
do their best work
Correct.
afterwards, and it's
Marketing and
just,
sales, yes,
it
core
makes me really
competencies.
proud to work at
But
Cisco
Yeah,
for that reason.
Getting all
we've
this
seen
stuff
that.
to work
Even,
together.
you know,
You're
even
right.
like I
As
said,
you
you know,
said, it's one of the
Meraki
things
being
behind the
fairly
scenes that
successful for them,
everybody else doesn't get
their
to see. How do we
level of
give
integration was
businesses
completely
that
non-existent up
edge?
until about a year
How
or
do we
two
keep
ago,
them
and
out
not
there
even
on the
now
cutting
it's
front? It's incredible, and you can
like
see it a lot over on the
so
circuit.
it's
We're
a separate
less than
product
2 minutes
line
out from
effectively.
the keynote beginning. So, Alpha Rob, let's head out to you.
The fact that
one
it
last
took
time for a
them
last
as long as it did to pull
peek at what's
Meraki
happening
in
there in your
was a
space.
big
Well, I
red
wanted to get a
flag.
vibe
Yeah.
check,
And I'm
Steve, and
aware
see
of some of the
how's it
politics
feel
around that.
now
It's
having
always
done
about
your first
turquoise,
couple of
right?
executive interviews from the chaos that can
But-
be the
Getting
show
ready.
floor. You like it?
Absolutely
we'll see.
amazing.
I
Do you know
mean-
what really strikes me is the absolute passion and energy from our leaders and from all of our attendees. You can just feel it, right, Rob?
Absolutely, and the energy is
Could
picking
you
up
imagine
here,
if the leaders
Steve.
weren't
They're in
excited
the,
and energetic?
the last few
That would
minutes
be
of
a
the
bad-
countdown.
that'd be a
Obviously,
bad
we're going to
event.
throw to the big picture, and we'll take the big feed.
If they want to see
Everybody will
excited
check
and
back with you
energetic
on the other
people, they
side.
should cut to the
Really
parties. The
grateful to have
parties
you
at
both out there.
Networkers and Live
Fantastic
were
job.
always the best
Alpha,
part.
welcome to the team.
The hats,
You are
you got the
amazing.
hats.
You're doing a brilliant
I don't know if they're
job.
still doing the
Your
hats.
energy
but
is
the hats were cool.
infectious. The smile is
I
great.
still have
We
one
just
around here
appreciate
somewhere.
everything
Anyway.
that you're bringing here to the team.
Former company
We
I
are
was
less
at,
than a minute
they would
from
have their
heading out to
big
the stage. We're gonna
sales
wait for that
kickoffs,
live
and
cue, Cedric. I'm just
the
gonna set things
chief
up, and then
operations
away we
officer
go.
would
But
always
good
throw
to
a
be
big
on set
party
with you
and
here.
usually
Truly enjoy
involved
it. Appreciate it.
branded shot
All right,
glasses
so as I said,
and things
moments
like that they
away
would
from
hand
the
out. So that
opening
was a good time.
keynote here
Yeah,
in
we got in trouble for that
Amsterdam.
once, so we didn't do
Go
that anymore.
beyond. That is the title. Oliver Tuzik.
Go beyond!
Great executives, along with Cisco partners, Cisco
You know what's
customers,
interesting is
talking about all of
just
the
another
different
story about
ways
the
that
sales
Cisco
kickoffs
is
is even with
revolutionizing
this
the
as a
ways
smaller company,
infrastructure and data
almost
are
every
connecting
sales
and
kickoff,
protecting
somebody
organizations exactly
left fired
like yours
and
here
or
in
arrested.
this
And
exciting
there's at
AI
least one or
era.
two people
Remember,
that
please
fell into
keep
one of those
reaching out to us
categories.
throughout the keynote.
And
Hashtag
I can imagine if you have
Cisco Live EMEA,
17,000
at
people
Cisco Live
at an
EMEA.
event,
We want to hear from you.
what kind of
We are
shenanigans
going to
in
keep
Amsterdam,
meeting
by
you
the way?
right back here in the
What's
Yeah,
gonna
I
happen
know.
there?
There's well, I
Following
mean,
keynote,
it's
we're gonna
not
hit
not
on
as
some
risque as
highlights.
California,
Cedric and
right?
I will be back to talk about what really stood out
That
to
said,
us.
somebody
What
once
is that really made
if
us
somebody
excited
once
about
showed
what
me
we heard live
that
from
the best way
stage,
to deal with
and
a sales
lot of
kickoff
new
is to not be
announcements, new
entirely
excitement.
sober.
Part of the reason that you want to
Is
That was
that
a
be
very
what?
important
event,
lesson.
or
Not
that
be
you want to be with
entirely
us here on
sober.
the live stream,
Oh,
is
yes.
to be the first to hear what
Don't go
is
too
taking
far
place,
with
what
that,
is
though.
going on, not only at Cisco, but across the marketplace, across the industry.
All right, let's get to
And
this
when you're the
keynote.
first
I
to
want to hear
hear
what
it,
they
it
got to
means
say.
that you can also be
Yeah,
the first
I'm
to leverage
okay.
that
Who's,
particular piece
are
of
we going to take
technology.
bets on whose
We've got
kickoffs?
an
Maybe
extra
Chuck
couple of
coming out
seconds
first?
before we roll live, but Cedric, I just want to very quickly ask you, what do you think is going to be the number one topic and takeaway? Look into your crystal ball.
We have a special guest
Wait,
appearance
he's
by
about
Mr.
to say
Chambers.
AI.
AI.
It's going to be AI.
It's going to be AI, right?
AI.
Well,
It's
of course it's
That's
going to
three
be
times.
AI.
For this week is already.
Is already completely
Because it's
crashed
all
away.
being
Well,
done by
again, Rob said it
marketing.
there in the opening video. AI is what it is all about. We've been given the note that it's about 30 seconds. They're just closing the main doors right now. But it's not just AI in a generic sense. It is specifically how do we apply AI, not only in terms of what
We're
we
going to do
can
a special episode
but
coming
also
up on
how
what
do
we
we
think
protect
AI and
what it
networking
is that
should
we
look
do? How
like.
do we
And
interconnect
I've
Yeah,
got
I
some thoughts.
mean,
I know Lou's got some thoughts.
AI is going
I
to
have
be
some
the
thoughts
talk
on it. If
constantly.
you
We'll hear
guys
again
like the
and
idea,
again
maybe we'll
and
go
again
start a company and
across
do it.
all of our
I don't
content
think
sessions
anybody's
from
gotten it right
center
yet.
stage, right?
Yeah, and I think we're just going to see how it really applies in the real world. We've seen
The
a lot
problem
of
the
theory
problem
about
with
it, like
AI
a
and
lot of
Cisco is
innovations, but really kind of what
Cisco
does it
doesn't
mean
even know
for
where
your
Cisco
company
is.
to jump on
Right.
that AI
Between
bandwagon,
all
right?
this stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
they've got the servers,
We
they've
are
got the
underway
routers,
with
they've got the
Keynote. We're going to
switches,
send it
they've
out to
got
the
the
Keynote
edge
stage. We'll
gateways,
meet
all
you
that
right
crap.
back here
They've
as
got
soon
it.
as it's done.
The identity
Welcome to the
engine,
show,
all
and
that
away
stuff.
we go.
Yeah.
But
No. AI.
everybody's fighting for budget.
That's right.
AI has turned the world upside down. Actually, that was me. Sorry.
And the
I didn't know that's what the button was going to do. GPU us, GP us, GPUs. Let's just make this clear. The true innovation happening in AI, pretty much not happening on their stuff.
No. I mean, I suppose they could announce a UCS that's all NVIDIA GPU based, but I don't see that happening. OpenAI. Yeah,
if you're not, really, you switch Ethernet between pods, right? And the people who do hyperscale to do this stuff, they're not going to buy Cisco when they can buy Sonic and Whitebox, right? And write their own script. These are people who rewrite the C libraries to get more efficient.
Yeah.
Same as the supercomputer guys. You don't do this stuff. There's no need for it. Write your own operating system. And if you don't know what CXL is, I'd advise you to look it up, because that is why we're going to connect all this stuff up for a higher performance cluster.
President Emir.
I give that to you for free. This is a president of EMEA. So,
wow,
okay.
That has been impressive. The amount
of
changes.
You did not win that election, dude. I didn't vote for you. I'm not even European.
And at Cisco is something I've never seen before. And I think it's important to take a break sometimes. Step back.
I gotta ask you, John, how many times have you ever heard a VP say, "I haven't seen this before"?
Successful.
Yeah.
In respect to
the pace of change that we experience right now is nowhere
near. If you're going to kick off a keynote, you got to have somebody with more energy.
Just looking at Cisco, the changes we did over the last 2 years, the amount of innovation, new products, partnership, is nowhere near.
We're having a
suspicious. He may be stellar business.
There's no doubt.
Focus, but
I don't know. He's got a righteous beard. I must admit, I am biased towards righteous beards.
You got to
listen to, and look at that. Listen to that soft voice.
The reason
like a girl.
why I'm feeling good right now.
I'm feeling good right now because I'm getting paid.
Changes we did at Cisco.
And none of my funds came from USAID.
To this world where there's more changes.
Is that my outside voice again?
And a lot of unpredictabilities. We focused on simpler solution. We built the platform. We integrated.
Wait a minute.
To help our partners, customers.
A VP in Cisco said simple and meant it.
That we're seeing in the world.
Well, he's not a VP. He's a president.
Right now, I believe
that is true. He's the president of the EMEA.
Cisco Live is clearly the best place to get ready.
Cisco has not been simple since the 2500 kids.
Of sessions
no.
With
Sorry.
Experts, all the
been there,
things, all
done
the
that.
Innovation we are doing. And we will be joined by great customers that are early adopters. They will show real use case. So it's the best way for you to learn and get ready for the future.
This looks like the
Cisco Live is also clearly the best place.
Oh, these guys, when it comes, look, I got to tell you, as somebody who worked with the people who set this stuff up, when it comes to setting up the backgrounds for this stuff, ain't nobody like these guys are. They do a great job on this. Samir, if you're out there, you even see this on a replay, kudos to you, brother. I know you're over there working on this stuff.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Cisco Live. Welcome. Welcome to Amsterdam. It's great to see so many people here right now. And the good thing is, we had a record year last year, but we have even more people joining. Thanks for your committed. It's amazing to have you all here, and especially the people that are joining us virtually from somewhere in the world.
And we're heckling you, but
these days,
we feel bad about it because you have an awesome beard.
Talking about changes and disruptions. Not a real surprise, and especially most recently, we have a good amount of reasons to think about disruptions. Nevertheless,
and the challenge with disruption
I'm very
Cisco is
that we can manage these challenges.
It gets people, they have to manage that challenge and disruption, because if it disrupts enough, they're going to look at other vendors.
The power,
that's
the experience of 40 years working together. And the amount of disruption and changes we are managing.
It is impressive that Cisco is 40 years old.
They were built for that, and they were built somewhat well, but there were some foundational issues they're still fighting with.
Yes. I'm talking about 40 years because we're celebrating our birthday. So to all
but 40 years, I mean, people who are saying AI, we've never seen anything about AI.
Happy birthday.
So far, from what I've seen, it's nothing next to what happened on the web. The web was just the problem with AI and an infrastructure company.
Celebrate 40 years
that you can argue Cisco is trying to get out of the business of being, which is why they're acquiring all these software companies, is that you don't build a new infrastructure for AI unless you're on hyperscale. And for hyperscale, they don't really have a lot of products that are interesting on hyperscale. They're too expensive.
And hope that you all will enjoy.
Might put some in the gateway router areas. They got some nice routers and stuff, but
coming back to the 40 years,
I'm not going to build a data center with Cisco. It's too expensive.
Are only possible because of all the things we did over the 40 years. They enable us to be the best innovator right now. And I'm not sure if everybody remembers how it was beginning more than 40 years ago. We started with a simple idea to connect two networks together and share information. Since that very
they're not even showing the AGS. The 3000, the 4000, I remember those.
Pioneered networking
Cat 5K.
And build technology
the last thing that Cisco did that really withstood the test of time is Catalyst 6500.
Connects and works
together. Those are still in play today.
Oh no, there's probably still Cat 5s out there running. Folks, if you're on the stream and you're watching this, I know there's a few of you still Cat 5s or 6500s out there that you'd see? Be interested to hear, because I once went out to a factory in Chicago, south side of Chicago, a bakery, and asked them what it was going to take to get them to upgrade. They opened up a closet, and in there was its Catalyst 5000 with this much dust on it. And it was running great. It was running great. That's Cisco's biggest problem, has been to try to churn their existing customer base on the switching stuff. Plus, there's a lot of money in that. Oh, CRS1, that thing's heavy. Telepresence, you screwed it up, kids. I know that because I launched it.
Telephony, video, data, and security. And especially security in the area of always on was key, because the network was the front line of defense, fighting more and more attackers. And the network was the one who can enforce the policy and protect all of us. And then
but then Russ pushed a product that allowed somebody's CEO to get locked out of the network and completely screwed neck for all of us. Thanks, dude.
Network, again, was the platform to bring it all together. Then in 2010, we saw the rise of cloud and cloud applications all over the world. And the cloud only worked because it was connected to all of you via the network.
The problem is, most of the cloud is running on custom stuff.
All the challenges we're facing, and it kind of in an
white
overnight
box
change.
White box is cloud, right? You're going to go hyperscale, you build your own.
What again?
Yeah, well, especially the big ones. Yeah.
Well, hyperscale by definition, right? I mean, I remember taking a look at Google's infrastructure, and they're literally, they were before Cisco ever got into the server business, Google was just doing racked up motherboards.
Yep.
Absolutely stunning
stuff. Just in the last about 18 months.
So 800 gig switches, they're marching along. If you're at 800 gig right now, you are paying a very, very heavy price. We're still just starting to see 100 gig implementation.
Splunk integration.
It will help us to
develop Splunk was a big one. That's why they had their last big layoff.
Yeah.
I pulled in all the Splunk people. And I think that was a good acquisition, assuming they can integrate it. But I mean, at least lately they've been buying companies whose job is to integrate with other stuff.
Yeah.
So they might be okay there. That might be the way forward for them, if they don't have to do the integration.
To say to all the people like you, a big thank you. A big thank you for being part of this journey and helping us to develop.
Big thank you for continuing to give us
energy.
Applause to all of you.
He's putting me to sleep. I'm gonna have
to. I'm doing my best here.
I have to get a Red Bull or something.
The challenge is that
when I say all of you, I'm talking about.
I gotta say the graphics of it, that imagery, that rotating LED.
They do, like I said. There's a whole team of video producers and technicians back there, third party, that are doing this. I've never seen more sophisticated setups for trade shows.
Really, I mean, Lou and I have both directly been involved with setting these things up for multiple companies, and it's always like.
It's a pretty impressive
Sometimes
number.
it's just like pray that it's going to work, and it's a lot of work going into it. Months and months and months of planning. So I got to give them credit for that.
They
very cool.
I was part of that team years and
ChatGPT
years
took
ago,
a
and
minute.
it was hardcore
The
stuff.
same with
I've seen it
DeepSeek
fail once, and it
to get
wasn't
me the
us.
same number.
But after that, they
This
went
is the
from
power of
live
AI.
demos to pre-canned demos.
Now, if you factor down this number to today, 25, approximately
I've
3
seen
million
epic
people
failures of
are
demos
working
on
with Cisco right now.
stage. It just was
3
so
million people
like
at
it
our
was
customers,
uncomfortable
at
to
our
watch.
partners,
What one?
operating, managing the
Oh,
vast
not wasn't Cisco. It was at
And
a
within this
it was our, at
group,
our last company at a
there is
internal
one
event.
group that I always
Oh.
love to highlight. These are the experts.
was-
The experts
It was an epic
like
failure.
CCIEs, CCDAs,
Yeah,
DevNet experts, and all the other highly
you
certified
you have to
And
you
we
have to
launched
nail. I got to
this
say this
program
much
called
for John
CCIE in
Chambers. He
93.
was
And since that
really
time,
really
we
on
certified
point with that
71
stuff. And I worked with
salespeople
the
in the
team that
world.
did that, Jim Grubb
So
and
I'm
his team.
interested.
Some of those folks are still
The
there, and they're
statistics
just
tell me we're
top
about
notch people.
1,000 CCIE
Top-notch.
here.
Really,
So
really good.
I
can
think
you raise
honestly,
your hand if you're a CCIE?
I think you're right. That a demo should either be pre-recorded for in this type of environment. It should either be pre-recorded or faked. You can fake it just as long as it looks like what it's supposed to actually do. That would be.
They had a
25 years
complete
ago.
team that's job was to fake
Oh,
demos,
there's
and they
one.
did a
Can I
really
have
good
my-
job. And I don't say that disparagingly. Oh, they
Please
faked
stand
the
up.
demo. It's
What's
like
your
you
name?
can't
Michael.
have
Michael. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
a
saying
demo
it's a
failure
lie.
when you're doing
certified.
something like this.
93?
Yeah, I'm not saying
93 was the
make it do
beginning.
something that it can't
That's what the
actually do.
beginning,
I'm
yeah.
just
One
saying
of the
that
first
Well, that
CCIEs,
happened.
don't rely.
uh,
Don't roll. Yeah, it does
worldwide.
happen, but don't rely
Wow.
on
Big applause.
everything going right
And-
in front of 17,000 people in attendance and however many million people are going to watch it.
So I know
On
So the
Cisco's a full
screen.
company today.
You want to hear the
So what
famous
was the
inside story
reason
about the one
why you
time, one of the
certified?
times they did this?
Yeah.
Well, there was only
They showed a
one
demo
vendor
talking about
sharing
communication,
information
where
about
when people, when you
networking,
have run around on vacation, this was
Cisco
before
enabled me
cell phone
to learn
cameras, these
about
things
all new
got really, really good,
technologies.
right?
So,
So you're running around on
yeah,
vacation, you're taking
if
your
you learn
pictures.
about it,
They're saying, wouldn't it be
certify for it.
cool
And
if you
I
could
think
go up
this
to an
is more
ATM
than
in a
32
country
years
and
ago.
take out your
Why are you
memory
still
card,
doing it?
pop your memory card in,
They never
pop
stopped
in your
teaching me
ATM card,
things
have
about
that
new
linked,
emerging
and
technologies
upload
keeping
your
me in the
pictures
front line
to
of
a cryptographically
technology.
safe
So
store. So
it
if
keeps
something
it
happens to your
interesting.
camera or whatever
Wow.
on your
Thanks a
vacation,
lot. That's an
you still
interesting
have your
story.
pictures,
Is there,
right?
Thanks, Michael. Is
Really
there
slick,
anybody
really
who
beautiful.
certified
The
recently,
problem was is
maybe
it was
a
so
year
impressive.
ago?
Everybody started asking where they can get the
Where
stuff.
are you? There's one.
It's like, well, no,
Would
it
you please
doesn't
stand up and tell us
exist.
your name?
So,
I'm Esar Rahimi.
maybe you should go build that.
CCIE in 2024, just a few months ago.
Wow.
I had to fake a
Congratulations, first of
demo
all.
once.
And
I
tell
was
me,
at a big trade show.
why
We were on the
did you
floor.
decide? Because I know it's not
And
easy. I must admit, I'm not a CCIE.
it
and I know
was
it's a lot of
streaming
work.
video
So
back in
why
the
did
day,
you do it?
streaming over 28K or 56K modems. So this was like way back in the day. And
You guys didn't even have a double shot, did you?
When I started my
No,
journey,
no,
Two
but
modems
they-
in one?
No. This was a commercial
9 or
product.
10
People
years
would take
ago.
it, run it at home.
So I wanted to
So
hit the
technically it would
top
run over
level
28,
of,
but 56K is really the
certification, for
bare minimum
example.
you'd
It
want.
was H323, wasn't it?
Of course, I went through different.
No, it was an MPEG
to learn
derivative.
and certify.
It was
I found,
I have a
Cisco
patent
the
on
best path
low frame rate, low
Okay,
bit
so
rate MPEG-1.
what's
Let's
this
stop
guy
here.
doing
I
here?
can't say it better. Big applause and thanks a lot to all of you. And I know
Okay,
you're
so
all
so
highly
far what we're
committed
seeing is a lot of rah rah rah.
Yeah.
and
very much like a
invest
sales
lot
kickoff,
of time every year to stay a CCIE or any other kind of certification. And just to be very clear, we are committed and we will not stop investing in all of you.
So
we will
here's
add
the
more
question.
training, we will add more AI.
Why
in
is
all our
CCIE
training.
still
We will
relevant?
continue to ensure that we are close with you.
Well,
So
route switch
it's clearly,
CCIEs.
we
I mean,
will
because there's lots of
never stop
CCIEs now.
investing in
Any
you.
CCIE.
And this year, we will even
If
go
all this AI
beyond
is coming
with all
in,
of it.
Yeah.
why do I need
Let's talk about
CCIEs?
Well,
the
okay.
market and our customers.
So
What are we hearing
so the
from
difference
all
is
of you?
why
What are you
is it going to be
seeing? What
relevant
is
going
happening in the
forward?
market
Is
right
what I
now?
think you're saying, because
And
up to
there
now
is
you
no
haven't had
doubt
that AI capability.
The
really,
IT
up until
sector is
just
by
recently.
far the best
I think it's a good
industry
question.
to be in.
I think
It's
that
fast-growing, it's
You're going to see a
impactful,
lot
and
of
everybody needs us.
expertise
I'm personally
that,
pretty happy
that
that
you'll
I
have in
40 years ago
smaller batches. So
decided
you
to
might
follow my
need
father,
a
who was an
CCIE
engineer.
in the company for,
It was one
or
of
you
the
might need
best
something, but you
decisions
won't
I've
need
ever
10
made
of them.
to be in
You
tech,
might need somebody
because
that
it's
knows
also
how it
a
works
lot
to
of
that
fun.
nth degree.
But let's move to some real
But
data, not only the fun
You can
I'm
then
having here
use
right now.
agentic
If you listen to
AI
Gartner right
and some
now,
lower
they
skilled,
predict
lower paid workers
that
to get
Europe,
as much or more
the
done
ICT market,
more
the end
efficiently.
user spend,
So
will
you're
grow
absolutely
I'm
to
right.
not
a
even
number
sure you're
of
going to need that one.
3 trillion.
Not if agentic
And
AI
this is in this
pencils
year
out.
a growth of more
I'm
than
a big
10%.
fan of somebody's got to know how it
We're in an
works
industry
because
that is
something's going to
growing
go wrong. That
10%.
AI is
By
going
the way,
to make a
Middle East and
mistake.
Africa,
Somebody's
Okay,
going to
so
go in.
he's talking
and-
about a big
There
number,
is
a number
something
here.
happening. And when we look at the details, many of the countries we're talking about have a pretty low GDP growth right now. But in most
Right,
countries,
GDP is screwed in
our
Europe.
market is growing up
Totally.
to 5 times
Currently.
faster than GDP. Now the question is, why? Is it just a
Because we
catch-up
take
from
hostage.
the
I'm sorry.
underspend of the last years? No, I believe it's bigger and it will last longer. Because we see many companies trying to embrace the power of technology, utilizing AI and other technologies to create competitive advantages. And when I'm listening to customers,
The question
I
is,
hear
if
more
you
and
buy it
more
from one
the same
vendor, do you get
story.
that advantage?
They all trying to become a tech company. Every business in this world will become a tech company. For me, there's no doubt.
And
But don't
honestly,
get me
I
wrong,
have to
know this is
dispute
not
that one.
easy. Becoming a tech company
Do you need to be a
is
tech
pretty
company
difficult,
if you
especially
have
as you need to build a sustainable, resilient,
automated
you're not allowed to increase operational costs, you need to
AGI
follow
stuff?
policies, and it's a big challenge. And we understand that for all of you, this is a challenge.
Right now, I
and even
think
you might have all different priorities and challenges. There are
him
three
positing that you
three
have to
things
become a tech
I
company
and my team
is a
hear every
failure
time when we're talking to
of
all
the
of you.
tech companies
The first one,
to
not a surprise,
disintermediate
is
the
all
communication
about
systems
unlocking
well
the
enough
power
that
of
you have
AI.
to go and become a tech company
And just to be clear, this
instead of
changed
your
so
core
fast. In
business.
just 2 years, all
The
of
the
this
whole
came
point
out.
of networking,
We're now in
the
the
whole
age
point
of
of,
the
of
agents.
honestly
And more
technology
more
is
companies
that
trying to
it
find
should
a
be a
way.
dial tone. It should be
Just be clear.
electrical outlet. You just
There
plug
was
it
no
in
doubt
and it
it might
works.
have been a bit
And
overhyped.
that's the way it
some
needs
of
to
the
be.
benefits
Now,
didn't come
admittedly,
as
to folks
fast
watching this
as
stream, maybe
people
that's,
were
maybe
expecting.
you're invested
But the
in
good thing is,
being
we are
part of
now
that
at the
dial
time where
tone,
we're
being
moving
part of that
out of the
electrical
hype
system,
cycle.
whatever.
Yeah.
The
We're getting
details
through
are
the
interesting,
trough
but
of
I think as we
disillusionment,
go
and we are
forward,
finally seeing companies
it's going to
realizing
become
first
really nobody
benefits,
notices us
benefits
until
that are even
something
scalable.
either is turned on the first time
And one of the companies
or
that
doesn't
started there
work.
very early, which
Yeah.
is a great use case, is Cisco. Late 2019, we started to create a virtual engineer, an AI-based engineer, that allows us to support the TAC, Technical Assistance Center engineers, to solve
Yeah,
cases
that happened when they
faster
couldn't
and better.
force them to take calls in the
Since that
restroom
time,
anymore.
we've been able to achieve a number of 1 million cases that we solved better and faster.
So you can look at this two
less
ways.
efforts,
They've solved
than
1.1 cases, or they had 1.1
don't
million
get me wrong,
failures
this was also
that
not easy
required
for us.
TAC
There are many
cases.
challenges on this way.
I'd be much
And
more
our
interested if
Cisco
I was
AI
seeing that
readiness
number go
tells us
down.
Well, I
story
mean,
better.
let's be fair.
Because
The
on the one hand side, 85%
the
of our
gross
customers
majority
right now
of calls to
truly
TAC
believe they need to
are
adapt
going to be
AI
those
within
simple,
the
like,
next 18
how do I
months,
do this thing?
or they will
Or,
see a negative
I
impact.
made a mistake. How do I
Or
recover?
Whoa, he's
or
saying it there.
having a negative impact. Pretty decent number. The problem is, globally, only 13% of companies believe they're ready. They are able to do this. So you can say
So the problem
13
is
a pretty shitty
that
number.
they're maneuvering
Look at the
themselves
number for
more into the
Europe. It's
consultant space is
7%.
what I'm seeing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Only
Do you read it
7%
that
of
way?
the companies are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
7%.
Now let's try to understand
So
why
here's the
this.
problem.
We launched a new survey yesterday, which tells us the 3 main reasons that
If
is
I'm at
stopping
Cisco
company to drive this. The first should not be
and I'm
surprise.
selling
We're talking
hardware,
about something
my
that's in the
margins
market
are in
only
the
2
60 to
years.
50% range. I
But
haven't looked lately because they've been
skills
losing a lot of
and
market
all
share
the
in core
knowledge
switching and routing,
is
right?
not there. It needs to be
Margins
built.
are not
The
there.
next two are the
If you're in
ones that we all
consulting,
together,
the margins
everybody
are
in the
down
room
around
can address,
20%.
because it's about infrastructure limitation and security concerns.
So-
we can help to fix these.
Yes, you
Let's
can,
jump to the next one.
but other people
Also,
can as
not
well,
really
and they can do it for
new.
less money.
Everybody's
but I
trying
mean,
to simplify
they're talking to a
and
lot of
drive
partners as
efficiency,
well.
or
So
if you
maybe
prefer
It is, yeah.
partners-
You have to
killing
jazz up your
complexity.
partners on this stuff.
Complexity
They
is
can
one of
help
the
it.
biggest challenges
and the
customers
partners
are
could be the
facing right now.
consultants.
And why is it going bigger and bigger every day? It's very simple. There's
Well,
more
I
workloads, more
used to
attacks,
work
more
with one of the
IP
analysts
address,
who was the one who
more
pointed
devices
out
to
when they
manage,
did their
more
first
service, more
professional
apps,
services
more
business that
connections,
was
more
getting into
everything
consulting,
is
what they
growing
did to
fast.
their
And when you look at
potential
the
margin.
work
I
of
think he's
somebody who's
still
managing
on
the operational
John
infrastructure,
Chambers'
from
do
the
not
outside,
talk
it
to
might
this
sound
person list.
simple.
Yes, Abner, I'm
The
talking about you,
reality is
buddy.
not that simple, because you're managing your own networks and unknown
See,
networks.
why are we
You're
doing
managing
this?
private, public
Why?
data centers. You're managing devices that are managed.
See, the thing is,
or
if
not
you're
owned and
talking about
unmanaged.
zero trust
And to be
network,
clear, the workplace
you're not
definition
managing any of that
starts at
crap in the middle
startups
because you
and
don't
might not
care.
even end
And
at a
and
production
on
plant
top
right
of the
now.
fabric. That's the
So
way it should
the
be.
complexity
All right, on
you
top of
need
the
to deal
fabric with that, with
is simply
automated
mind
tools
blowing.
for laying out
And
wireless,
it's
which,
limiting to you,
let's be
for you
honest,
all to
Meraki
drive
is not
further
the leader there.
innovation.
The reason they
Because
care
if
about
half
it is
of
because
your
that's
team is
all
just
points that they
working
sell. They sell
on
all
getting
those things.
different
So,
Well,
pieces
yeah, they're going to
working
sell it.
together,
And you want to go
you
to
don't have
somebody
the
who's going to
capacity.
answer the phone.
And this will only get worse. Why?
It will only
Most
get
of the
worse
admins
until you fix your
will
damn
retire in the
licensing
next 3 to
problems.
5 years. And there's not a lot
that's what
of
they make all
people
the
in the
money.
market that
They're not
you
going to
can
fix the
hire.
licensing problem. They make no money that way.
Also what CEOs
Yeah,
tell us.
it,
And right
some
now,
other people have made some good movements here.
95%
I would like
see
to see
already a
what I haven't
negative
heard
impact
yet.
to managing their networks
Uh,
because of missing
shortfall of engineers
experts,
has led to an
engineers
inability to
this.
manage networks.
This
Okay,
is one
why
of the
is
main
that?
reasons why everybody
Because
is looking for standardization,
how were we treated when we did that,
moving
John?
away from best of breed, driving AI.
Why
and
are we having a
automation.
shortage of engineers? Anybody on
Now,
this live stream
let's
watching, do you know
come
why
to
we
the
have a
last
shortage of
one,
engineers?
at least as important as
Because you
automation.
treat us like crap,
It is
okay?
resilience, managing
That's
risk,
why you have a shortage of
digital
engineers.
resilience. And in times where every company is becoming a tech company, business resilience is the same as digital resilience. If your core business runs
Yes,
on
but
tech, any impact on tech
you
will
don't
have an
sell
impact
business
on your daily
resilience.
business.
You don't sell digital
And
resilience.
this is a topic, risk, on
You
every
sell a
board
very
agenda
small
right
part
now,
of it.
because we've seen so many surprises, risk that we were not prepared for. And I'm not only talking about the cybersecurity risk, where we're still behind and companies investing heavily. There's so many
Come
other
on, guys.
risks
Yeah, you got to at
that are
least be
occurring
heckling
in
me
our
somewhat
area.
on those
Here's
stuff.
just a
I'm not
summary
saying
of what I'm
anything Bob
hearing.
up here.
Number
Do I have
one,
to get more extreme?
human error.
No, I don't work there anymore.
We're
Never mind.
all only humans. And in a time of complex infrastructure, no standardization,
that was always a
no
struggle
automation, this
at
is
that company.
causing a lot of
It's always a
coming
struggle.
up.
And then
Well, no,
managing
this
upgrades
extreme. Using the
across
word extreme is
multiple
you
different
can't
systems
actually
and
use the word in a
platforms.
sentence without.
I
saying
can.
All
No
the
pun intended.
regulation and
I
policies
certainly
we have to
can.
deal with.
I get to use it now.
And of course,
Now you can.
managing
I'm too extreme for
technology
extreme.
debt. A
You
lot
are.
of customers
They don't
running
like
on
me.
old systems.
I don't
It's
feel the
difficult
love
to
anymore.
keep up with the implementations they need to know. And there's one thing that is very sad to talk about, where we're getting more requests from customers, governments, that ask us how we can help them to become resilient for a different kind of conflict. An impact
Do you know why they're
conflict.
asking you that?
Yeah, I want to hear
That's
what
the
he's
world we're living in right now. So all of these can cause big and
He didn't really say
cause
what
already
the-
big damages
the impact
to
they were
all
looking
of
to
your
solve.
companies.
Realistically
The Global
speaking, they're
2000,
asking
that's
you
a
to become
survey
more
done with our
resilient because
friends
you
from
haven't
Splunk.
engineered it into your
The Global
products.
2000 have a
That's why.
yearly downtime cost of $400 billion.
By the way, when I say
That's
that, it's not
200
just
million
Cisco.
per company.
It's not
Something
just Cisco.
we all
We have a huge
can
problem with
help
that in our
easily.
industry
Now,
because resilience costs money.
let's talk about these three areas one more time.
Again,
If we
fabric would
are,
help.
as Cisco, if we at Cisco are not able to help
Assuming
you
you've
to
automated
address
its
all of the
implementation,
three
yes.
areas,
Yeah.
sorry, my clicker will not follow me, thanks a lot. If we don't help you unlocking power the AI, simplify
Yeah,
and
the
drive
problem is
efficiency
you're not
and
AI
strengthen your
experts.
digital resilience, we will be not your perfect partner. And that's why all our efforts are now focused on this area. Last year, we made the initial step while I was here on stage talking
Yes,
about
we fired a
being
whole
more
bunch of people
platform
last
focused,
year.
more outcome focused, more integrated.
Now
more
I know
enabled.
a friend of
And
mine
with the
who was
integration of
working on
Splunk proceeding, we're coming
video
even
stuff.
better. We
Just
create the
announced today
data
that he's
backbone,
moving over
open
back to Cisco to
to
do
also
AI
other
stuff.
applications
And
to help
Kev
you
is a smart
manage
dude.
this
So
challenge.
we'll see what
At the
happens.
end,
But
it's all about Cisco
when
coming
you're
together
watching this
as
right
one.
now, understand
And just be very clear.
they just did a major
There's
acquisition.
nobody,
Splunk.
absolutely nobody in the world who's capable to bring the power of the network together with security, observability, and collaboration in the way we can do. We're the only
Yeah,
company who can
except you
deliver
won't.
this integration and make your life easier. It's easier to implement, it's easier to operate, it's easier to maintain.
Folks on the
as
stream,
we
have they
integrate it for you.
actually made your life easier? I would really
Now,
like to hear about this.
How do we approach
Well,
Did it
We're
make your
looking at
life
three
easier?
pillars.
Or have
If
you
you
ever
wanna
seen
These
any
compare-
pillars
successful,
that we took internally,
you know,
or we
interpretation of the
design
word
and deliver to
integration
you,
Yeah, I mean, did
AI-ready data centers
Cisco
to power and
DNA
secure
or
AI
whatever the hell that
workloads
morphed in it, did it make
anywhere.
your life
Of
easy?
course,
Did they?
it's future-proof
What
workplaces empowered by the
is
network.
WebEx
And last
easier
not
and
least,
integrating better
digital
for you
resilience,
than
where
Zoom
we
was,
bring together
or some
all
other
our
communication method?
observability, security, and assurance capabilities, all empowered by secure
Because the
global
problem is they
connectivity
do have all this
and
stuff, but it
accelerated
doesn't
by
talk to
AI.
each other.
As customers and partners, you will
Now,
see the
Splunk is a
impact.
good sign
It
there.
will be easier to work
The
with you.
problem with
get
Splunk
closer
is
to your core
Splunk
business.
is
But just be
a
clear,
residue,
we won't
not
be able
a
to do
movement.
this
It's
if we
going to tell you
don't
something
create
happened,
a product,
but it's not
product
going to
story
give you,
that allows you,
you know,
to
if
do
you want a
exactly
network
this.
that self-defends,
Product that
which was
enables
the
you
original
to
premise
be
of NAC
integrated.
when
And
Cisco
that's why we
originally came out with
changed
it, self-defending
our approach,
network.
how we develop product.
You
We
can't
created
wait for those
one
reports to
team,
get back to you.
one leader.
The system
who is
has to
bringing
take
together
action.
I
all the
also always
products,
felt that
so that
one of the
right
biggest
from the
values of
beginning, from
Splunk
the
was its
design, they're
vendor
working better
agnostic
together.
nature.
They're more integrated,
And so
more
you start
platform
throwing,
focused, more secure,
you know,
more
the
open.
biggest of the IT vendors,
And
or at least
the next
networking vendors
person who will join
out
me
there,
on
and having
stage
them own it.
is the guy
You're
who's
going to see a
running
lot
all
of
this.
That was
He's
always a
our
challenge. I
new
remember
chief product
when I was at
officer, the
Cisco,
one and only
we were doing something
G2
and
Patel.
oh,
Before he comes on
we were
stage,
using
roll
the
the
open,
video.
we were using a Radius server we were recommending to customers that then I think Juniper bought it.
Yeah.
And we had to go back and tell everybody, oh my God, Juniper owns it now.
Yeah.
You see the same sort of behavior with all companies like that. So while I think Splunk is an extraordinary product, really good stuff, I'm struggling to understand how one Uber vendor is going to make Splunk work better with my Palo Alto firewalls.
Right.
Or my, you know, legacy Aeronet infrastructure, or not Aeronet, but airspace or something like that. And the problem is they don't want that. They want you to buy it from them.
Welcome,
Rip and replace.
EVP and Chief Product Officer G2 Patel.
Oh, that's who they were talking about when they said G2. They were talking about G2 Patel.
Yeah.
All right. How's everyone doing?
Okay.
You know, for
Very
those
energetic
of you that
crowd
don't
this
know,
morning.
trivia-wise, Oliver, besides being a great human being and a great presenter, he's also a great dancer. He's the man who stays on the dance floor until the night closes out. So if you ever get a chance to go hang out at a party with Oliver, he is the man. So, well,
So he's
thank
telling me
you
I
all
got to
for being
dance with
here.
Oliver?
This is a fantastic, turnout, and I always love coming to Cisco Live
So
EMEA.
I feel like
because
G2's got
if you think
a little
about
bit more
it, Cisco
energy.
cannot succeed if
I
this
feel like
region doesn't succeed.
they're in
You folks are
Amsterdam.
critical to
Why
our
are they
success.
not,
We are
like,
so
why isn't
grateful to
everybody
you,
caffeinated?
and taking
'Cause
out time from your valuable day to make sure that you spend it with us. We want to make sure we make it worth your while. So
Nice robot camera. Like
I'm
that.
honored to be here, and I'm also honored to actually run product for this iconic company. And what I thought I'd do before I get started is walk you through some of my core philosophy on how we think about building products, which then translates basically to our commitments to you. And the core philosophy that we have, there's 3 core principles that I actually really
I'm
help
trying to
guide
figure out
the way in which we actually start thinking about building products. The
how many
first one
times
is
I've
we
seen
have
this
to make
speech.
sure that we build products that people love, that they talk to their friends and family about. Now, people always ask me, G2, why you're an infrastructure company? Why do you need?
You know
to
how
make
you
sure
build
that
products that
people
love you
talk to
rip
their friends
off
and
whatever
family about?
Apple's
Who talks to their
doing?
friends and family about
Yeah.
infrastructure? Well, the reality is if you want to build products and technologies for hundreds of millions, billions of people, the most effective
He's reminded me of
marketing
another
engine
chief
is word
product
of mouth.
officer that I knew that was like
And the only way
always
that
trying
word
to
of
push
mouth
style
happens
and
is when
come
you've
out in a,
emotionally connected your product so that people
in a-
love
you
your
know,
product
looking like a
and they actually
fashionista,
feel compelled
shiny shoes.
to talk about it with others. And so we want to make sure that
Well,
we
I
actually
do like
deliver that to
how
you.
the
So
windows
first
move
one is
for
we
us
want to make sure
geeks,
that we build products that
Yeah.
people
because
love.
I can dress like that.
Yeah.
Even
Second
though I've got my whole
is
Steve
I want
Jobs
to make
thing
sure
going
that
on
we
here, right?
never talk
'Cause-
about quality. And the
but-
only way you don't talk about quality is make it priority 0 and make sure it's never an issue. Now, there are times when we've actually had some issues in quality in
So the
certain products,
problem-
and we want to make sure that those never happen. So there'll be a relentless focus in every product that
So
we
I have a
build
question
to
on
make sure it just
people
works.
love
So
products.
just assume that quality is going to be priority 0 for us.
Yeah,
And number three,
I mean,
is we want to make
Do
sure
you
that we
care what
actually
your
think
light switch is, where it
asymmetrically
came
about
no,
the
I mean,
market,
if
or
you're
who
an
made your
Apple
wire?
working very
or a
linearly.
Samsung, then
And
you
what
might
that
have
means
customers
is
that love your product.
we want to make sure that we actually
Nobody
don't just play catch up to
cares
the market, but
if
we
they're-
leapfrog the
I
market
guess maybe if they're
and
talking about the IT
redefine
engineers, maybe
how
they
we are
love
not just
the
10%
Cisco
better
products
than our
or
competition,
or
but we're
whatever
at least
product,
an
maybe.
order of magnitude better. Because frankly, if you're 10%
but-
better than your competition,
I mean, the problem
it's
is
very
that
hard to justify
they talk about
moving
the
over to
quality
Cisco.
being
But
built
if you're
in.
10 times better, it's irresponsible to ignore Cisco.
I don't know that they're
And what we
they
wanna
used
do
to
is
be
make
really
it
bomb-proof.
irresponsible
And
for
I will
you
say,
to
from what
ignore
I've
us because
seen, the
we are so
Catalyst
much better
line
than
is still
what the
pretty
market
bomb-proof.
delivers,
Yeah.
that there's no other
Right.
choice besides actually
There's some
making sure that
continuity
you
there.
consider us. And
But I don't
your
know. I
business
haven't used
propel as a
enough of their
result
products
Cisco's
recently to
technology
say whether or
capability.
not they're
So
higher
that's the
quality
goal,
than anybody
is to
else.
have that core
But
philosophy.
obviously, when you and
Now,
I were doing this
before
on the
I
vendor
talk about
side, we
all
only
the
heard the horror
amazing
stories.
innovation that the team has done
Correct.
that I'm so proud
And
of,
we heard a
what I
bunch of
wanna
them.
do is I want to make sure I take a step back and talk about what's happening at a macro level.
So
At a
that
macro
definitely
level, like Oliver
colors
talked
my
about,
commentary, right? Because
AI
I
is
have heard
fundamentally changing
a
everything.
lot
And the
of customers
speed and
griping
pace
about the
at which
Meraki
things are
products
moving is
for
so
their cloud
fast
stuff. It was
that
just
it's actually
really
hard to keep up.
really a problem.
Just 2
we got a
years
lot of
ago,
money
if you
from
think
that.
about it,
Yeah.
we had this watershed moment. And that watershed moment was when ChatGPT launched. And what it did was consumerized AI and made it very real for every single individual in the world. But you know, in these technologies,
I gotta
what
give
ends
him
up
credit for
happening is
saying, that
sometimes you
it's
might
hard to
think
keep
that
up
there's
because
overhyped
AI
in the
is
short term.
moving so quickly.
People
Yeah,
always
it's moving very
overestimate
quickly.
the
Product,
impact
I'd
of
say.
these shifts in the short term, but
And for folks who are watching our
grossly
stream, this is
in the long
something,
term.
if you've
We're
been following
now
us
at
for a little
point
while, you know this is an
where in
area that
2025,
we're really,
it's
really
actually considered to
interested
be
where the applications are going
pretty
to come out.
likely that we will
We
have
think
artificial general intelligence become a reality, which means that the
And for those of you that have just
capabilities
joined, this
of
is
AI
you're watching IT Sparkcast. We're
actually
doing a live
match
reaction
those of humans.
show for the
And
Cisco Live event
superintelligence, which is
happening
when
in
cognitive
Amsterdam.
capabilities of
Yeah.
AI
So we're just
So
kind of
this
going
happened
through the
this
keynote.
morning.
of every human
Happened this morning. We're
is
watching the
now
keynote
no longer a fantasy,
and
but
giving you
something
our
that's gonna be
reactions, both opinions,
in a
insight,
relatively,
and
you know,
a little bit of
reasonable time
sarcasm.
frame, right? And so when you start thinking about this,
You know what?
and you say,
That's
so how
that
is this
robot I
gonna
would buy.
change
That's what I want my robot to look
the
like. I
The
don't want my
problem is
robots to look
you're not going to buy
look
that
real.
from Cisco.
Because today, if
No,
you
you're
think
not gonna
about
buy
it,
that.
100%
You're not going to
of
buy
the
that from
composition
Cisco.
of the workforce
That's one of the
is human.
challenges, right?
Right.
What we'll
They've always
see is that there's going to be a tremendous augmentation to humans with AI agents,
to robots and
AI
humanoids. So the thing
assistants,
is,
robotics, humanoids that are going to be added. where
Cisco
this
barely
throughput
participates in the
capacity that
robots
we
part.
all currently
Not at all,
assume
yeah.
They got the IE
is going to grow
switches for
exponentially.
industrial
The
Ethernet.
robots will
While we
connect
might
to the
have
Cisco
8
access
billion
point. Yeah.
people on the
They don't
planet today,
probably, and
we
maybe
will
not
feel
even
like
that,
we
right?
have the throughput
From what I
capacity
understand,
with this
mostly that's
augmentation
missed
of 80 billion people.
these days. So I know that for
And
certain companies
the
doing
reality
lots of
is, things
logistics,
keep moving faster
I'm
That's
just saying,
sort of
like,
the next-
and just in the last
whatever
2
the Wi-Fi
weeks,
is at the facility might be
or a
Cisco.
few weeks,
yeah. Well, I mean,
there's
the
been
biggest
some
problem with the Wi-Fi that I'm
seismic
seeing in
developments
that
that have happened in
environment
the
is
industry
handing
just
off fast
blow my
enough
mind.
between
And
accounts.
this is actually the pace that is
And I haven't
only going to
notably
accelerate
seen
over time. So
this
let's talk about a
technology
couple of
being
them.
mentioned. That I've seen Juniper
Because the
Mist being
two
mentioned. I've seen
really
Aruba in a few
consequential
places.
things
I've
that'll
seen
actually
Extreme and
shape
I've
the
seen
industry
Ruckus,
happened in the
but I
past
have
couple
not.
of
Most
weeks.
people are not singing
The
about
first one
Meraki.
is what I call
Now,
the
if you
DeepSeek effect.
out there heckling me have
And
a
the
different
second
viewpoint
is
on
what
it,
I
love
call
to
the
know it.
operator effect.
Be really interested to see
And what
if
does
they're
the
if
DeepSeek
they're
effect
making
mean?
any
It means that
progress
the
there,
cost
because
curve is going to go down precipitously of what it takes to train a model.
yes, we've
And
covered
we will,
that.
therefore, as a consequence of that, make sure that we have many, many models.
Yep.
You won't just have tens of models, you might have
I'm
thousands
going to
of
repeat what I had
models.
said
And this
earlier.
will actually have
I'm seeing about
massive
3 or
implications
4x the number
on
of viewers
security and
on
safety.
X as I am on YouTube. So if you want us
The
to be
second area is
doing
the
more
operator
streaming on
effect. And for
X
those
or
of
and
you
or LinkedIn,
that might have
by all
not
means, let me
tried
know.
out Operator from OpenAI,
Yeah,
you
we
should just
will.
try
We
it
will
out because that's what
absolutely
the future is going
go
to
where
look
you
like.
are.
Because what you will be able to do is just tell the computer to make make sure that you can get a task completely done fully autonomously on your behalf.
Right.
And the thing
that's definitely going to
Juniper
happen.
just posted about their AI-driven solutions.
Well, we just saw a bunch of posts last week from Palo Alto, their agentic security, and they've been putting some really big bucks into it. So what I haven't seen is anything from these guys, which we'll probably get.
Infrastructure, the networking infrastructure is going to be
the problem is
that,
that,
and it's so important that these two seismic shifts that are going on right now.
What he hasn't said is why.
On how we at Cisco will be able to help you out.
how
Now,
they can
what
do it
this is going
differently
to do
than
is it's
somebody
going to
else.
present a whole new set of assumptions around what the infrastructure requirements are going to look like and what the risks are going to look like. So the question you might then ask is, so how is Cisco going to help me address these challenges? And this is where Oliver very eloquently kind of phrased, where he said that there's going to be few areas where we are going to be very focused. The first one is we're going to help everyone make sure that you can have AI-ready data centers built out for your organizations in a way that you can actually be ready for this transition for AI.
You're not going to be able to afford it.
The
Your
second
AI
big
is going to
area
either
that
be
we have a
hosted,
huge amount of focus on
or it's going to be in much smaller
workplaces
pieces.
themselves are future-proofed.
There's no difference between an AI data center and a regular data center.
Not on the networking side. There is on the compute side. But,
yeah, on the compute side, yeah. If you're talking about the
Business
compute stuff, it would be the programs running on
is
it.
actually digital
Maybe the
resilience.
orchestration, but data is data.
And so
When he
those are
talks
the
about
three kind of key areas. And
the
then what this
challenge
is gonna
of
be done is it's gonna be
AI-ready networks,
powered by this
there's no
notion of
difference between a
secure
high-capability
global connectivity
AI-ready network and a financial network.
and accelerated with AI.
Right? And we all do those.
Yeah.
Now, this is all great, but the question that often gets asked is, hey, so Jeetu, why is Cisco different? And what is unique about Cisco as we bring about this shift? Because there is a platform shift that's going on that's going to happen with or without Cisco.
Yes.
But what's the big
much
difference
likely
that
without.
we're going to have? And this is an area that we want to make sure that you understand where we're going to be investing a fair amount of our resources. Billions of dollars will be going in here on an annualized basis so that we can make sure we deliver these values to you. This is the way I think about it as a structural advantage. The first one is a platform advantage, where we want to make sure that there's a compounding value of the platform that we have. So every single capability and product that we build should reduce your marginal cost of ingestion for every subsequent product that's actually going to be ingested by you.
You're losing market share in switching and routing.
Cost
How
of
does this
adopting
help
new
me?
technology from Cisco goes down precipitously. And it compounds value in the products that you might already have. So if we built a product, and if you've got two products that already exist, the product we built should add more value to the two products you already have. That's this notion of a platform advantage.
Right, and for that to work, the stuff has to work together.
We want to build out the entire stack, from the silicon to the systems to the software. And the reason for this is because there is a tremendous amount of leverage you can get and tremendous amount of benefit you can get by integrating these in a very harmonious way. So
the problem is they've never successfully done this outside of the operating system. And the two times that I saw them try to do a new operating system, iOS NG and iOS ENA, they screwed the pooch.
There's a lot of companies that are AI-first security companies, a lot of companies that are AI-first networking companies, but we're the only secure networking company in the world. So
I would argue
let's
that
talk
one.
about what we do and how these advantages
Did he just say that we're the
manifest.
only
Let's dig
secure
into this. So
networking company in the world?
The only secure networking company in the world.
So we know at this point in time.
Seriously, this is somebody who doesn't know about the CVEs.
Right? That's extremely necessary. And so what we need to do is make sure that there's a few components that work harmoniously well together as we make this happen. First one being networking.
Oh, come on, guys. I put some juicy ones out for you. You got to be some level of echo in here.
And if we start to think about it, we want to deliver this not just for one class of customers, but multiple classes of customers, so they can all learn from each other. So we deliver this capability
so that they can all train us.
To the largest hyperscalers.
That's what everybody wants, but you don't do
We
hyperscale
also
at
deliver
Cisco.
it to service providers, and of course we deliver it for the enterprise. And the fact that we deliver it for all those three constituencies benefits all three of them, because we learn from each other and make sure that we're able to share it.
Except, can you do it
internally?
internally?
Momentum in the past year. Let's just take a look at a few examples, because we launched the AI pods, which are all new AI pods, which was a kind of a validated design for compute, storage, and networking all together for powering AI inferencing. We also made sure that we launched the AI server, which was an NVIDIA-powered AI server, or NVIDIA-based AI server with 8 GPUs. And so this was something that we launched. But what we wanted to do,
you're not going to be
was we
anywhere
wanted to
near
make
the
sure that
cost
we
of the
can
white box
increase the
vendors.
flexibility for you even more. And so,
And the problem is,
how do we make sure that we get this data center compute?
this is Ethernet-based
area
technology,
to
and
be
I need to move
more
much
flexible
faster
than
for
what we
large
had
models.
before? Well,
If you guys haven't looked up CXL yet, you need to.
GPU server right away, because that's not what your volumes dictate. You might want to start smaller.
Think about
grow
putting
over time.
PCI
And
buses,
so I'm delighted to announce
switching
our first
PCI
announcement
buses
today
directly
is
with that level of
as
latency.
you have
Ethernet
a
can't keep up.
need for
Not for the
growing,
hardcore
kind of
stuff.
compute.
Yeah,
we
what
will
do you
make sure
folks
that we
feel?
provide for you
Either hit us up on the
a
platform you're watching us on in the comments,
NVIDIA-based
send us an
GPU
email
server
to
that can either
feedback
be
at
a
itsparkcast.com.
2
Do you
4
feel that the
GPU, 6
UCS solution
GPU, or
provides
an 8 GPU
flexibility?
server?
It seems
You
like
have
it's
full
more of a
flexibility
little
in how
bit
you'll be able to make sure that you
to me
scale
than
up.
being flexible.
I mean, I'm
I
trying
wanna
to
hear from
figure
you.
out.
First major announcement.
I'm
and
trying to
this is
figure out
something that's
why
gonna
I would
give you
do
all the
this over,
flexibility. We don't have to
say,
jump in right away with everything all at
you know,
once. but as
Supermicro
your
or
needs
Dell
grow, we will grow
or
with you.
HP, who
Now,
used to supply all the servers for
thank you.
Cisco before they started the UCS business. Why is that one? Why does that one work better?
This is a huge step forward in compute, and we will continue to keep investing in compute. But next, I want to talk about something that's completely category defining.
Really?
And that is the introduction of Cisco smart switches. It's basically the most revolutionary new switch with built-in DPUs, or data processing units. This is a first in its category, and we're so excited about this. It's completely changing the landscape of networking like never before. So let me actually walk you through what the announcements are, because we're announcing 2 classes of switches: a cloud on-ramp switch with a DPU, and a top-of-rack switch with a DPU, both based on a Silicon One design, where we've partnered with AMD so that they can provide us the DPUs.
Okay.
And this completely changes
So
everything.
what
Now,
you
the
just
question
saw
you might be
there,
asking
those
is,
being
why is
the
this
first,
so important
I'm
to
gonna
have a
put on my
DPU
I
and a
used to work
switch?
at Extreme hat,
Right?
and tell you we've
Well,
been
the
selling that
reason
crap for 3
it's
years.
important to have a DPU
I
and a
think
switch
his point
because
is
it
that
provides
is the
acceleration.
NVIDIA part of it, though.
And what you're
Well,
able to
the
do is run workloads
No, it's
like
not.
networking,
Is it
storage,
NVIDIA?
compute,
Because you just said it
He
was
just said-
AMD.
networking,
he
storage,
just said
and
NVIDIA
security on the DPU, and offload that from the CPU. Which
Right.
you might have. So you can
Which I
run
did.
that workload on the switch itself.
On
I
an
wanna check your mic.
X465.
And
Did
so
your
what
mic
that
move
allows
down a
you
little
to
bit?
do
Yeah,
is
can you hear me now?
have technologies
Yeah, it's a
like
little better.
Cisco Hypershield have an enforcement point that's running
No, I
on
just
a
want you to
top-of-rack
know that
switch, rather
that's
than
been out
always
there.
running on a separate appliance. So what
That's been
you've
out
done is
there.
you've distributed security,
And the good news
and
is
you've
that
embedded it
the
in
other
Yeah,
the
so
vendors,
fabric of the network.
they have
Other
like
vendors
10
have
Whether it
had
be a top-of-rack
have
switch,
had
whether it
compute
be on
on
a server,
switches
whether it be in an
that you could
eBPF
distribute the
agent,
load,
it's just going to be
whether it's
sprinkled
packet
all
capture
over,
or
because
security
no
or whatever it
longer can
was.
you
That's
just
been
have
around for a while.
perimeter-based
That's
security as
this
the
traffic
only
is
Stream's had it
coming
for at least
across.
5 years.
You have to have security
At least
massively
five.
This traffic is coming across the
Now,
switch that has
that's
that
great.
capability.
Yeah.
It has
But
two 10 gig
Hypershield is
links
great,
directly
but
to the forwarding
we need
point.
to make sure that we're fundamentally reimagining firewalling in this entire hyper-distributed world.
Right. Except if you're
So, the way to
reimagining
think about
firewalling, you're
this
putting it in the applications, not in the network.
We are, for the first time, announcing Cisco's Enhanced Cloud Protection Suite, which essentially is the most advanced hybrid mesh firewall in the world. And this is something that Gartner has been actually doing a lot of work around.
Wait,
and
what?
let me just walk you through and see how this works, because this is something that's really important and a game-changing moment in what's happening in the industry, this concept of a hybrid mesh firewall. So let's talk about all the components in the firewall that you have to think about that are going to be sprinkled in your network, right? You start with a classical firewall, a traditional firewall. You need to make sure that that's available in your network. Next,
Okay,
you need
so
to make sure
guys,
that you have secure workload.
what you're seeing
Secure
here
workload will provide you
has
to be able
existed
to isolate and protect workloads and do segmentation.
for about 7 years
Third, you'll be able to have the
from
ability
other
to have
companies.
a modern network fabric with a company called Isovalent that we had acquired, who was the creator of eBPF technology. They had co-created that with Meta, right? And so that technology essentially becomes the layer that can go out and
That
observe
was one of our
what's
very
going
first
on at a kernel
episodes
level
of IT
without
Sparkcast. We
sitting
were
in the
talking about
kernel.
eBPF.
Yeah.
And then fourth,
eBPF is really
Hypershield
cool.
then gets
The
built
challenge
on
is
top of Isovalent, so that we can have this distributed
if you push
security in front of every microservice, in front of every
right,
Kubernetes
if you push your
container,
security in front of every
Kubernetes cluster.
microservice, you don't need
Then
eBPF.
what we have is these DPU-based switches that we're talking about, so that you can take that technology and actually have it run on the smart switches.
Except that the use cases
And
I
the beauty about
researched,
all of this stuff
it cost you more money to
is
run it in
you
that
could
smart
not just
switch
go out and do it with Cisco
than to put a
technology. We
Raspberry
will
Pi
also
next to it,
enforce policy
or an
on
AMD
third-party
processor running
firewalls
directly
that you
off.
might have in your estate. Because we want to make sure that we are working in an open
There's not a
ecosystem.
huge
So
amount of
we'll be
benefit
able to
here.
set policy in third-party firewalls that you might have in your estate. And so that essentially gives you this kind of completely distributed fabric in a hybrid mesh firewall. And by the way, the amazing part of this, it's all managed in a single pane of glass with security cloud control that's available now.
Single glass of
Yes.
pain.
Which means if somebody gets root on this thing,
and
they now have access to all your stuff.
Gorgeous, beautiful way to go out and manage your hybrid mesh firewall. But what we also want to do is make sure that you can have a completely different way that you can interact and engage and set policy and do troubleshooting. So sitting on top of security cloud control is Cisco AI Assistant. That's a unified AI assistant that'll be able
Which
to
will be
allow you
better
to set
than what
policy based
Microsoft
on a
is
prompt
doing,
interface, that
Palo
allows you
Alto
to
is
troubleshoot based
doing.
on a prompt interface. That's multimodal. You ask it a
Okay.
question in natural language, get back a response. And that's the beauty of this. And to talk a little bit more about this entire
Chatbot that's
category,
read all the documentation.
what
for
we've
Cisco.
done is we've actually had some amazing leaders that have joined Cisco recently, and I wanted to get Tom Gillis up on stage, who actually runs our
Yeah, folks.
entire
Like I said, we're
security
going to be
and
doing an
data
episode
center business. So
on
Tom, where are you, my friend?
what the networking vendors need to do when it comes to AI, and it's got to go way, way beyond this. They've got to, need digital twins. They need to vet out
Tom,
changes and
what
test
are you
them
most
before
excited
deploying.
about, my friend?
It's a fascinating
make changes
time
automatically
to be
based
working in
on
the data center, right?
all
Data
kinds of
centers
things.
are cool
We're not even
again. They're
close to
interesting again. Let's talk about
So-
all the change that's happening in the data center.
They're
with this
talking
product
about data
portfolio.
center again.
The foundation of it is performance.
We know that if you go
And
hyperscale,
why do we need this kind of performance? Well, Moore's
You're
law
not
said
buying
that a server would get twice as fast every 2 years.
these guys.
And we lived with that for decades.
And the reason is
Now all of a sudden we're introducing
you're writing your
GPUs
orchestration from
into the
scratch.
infrastructure. And a GPU is a parallel processor, which means not only does it get faster clock speeds, it gets wider. So the amount of data that we have to feed the GPUs isn't twice as much. It's 10 times as much. Right?
The
That is a
problem is
huge,
that you
huge
don't
leap
want
forward.
GPUs in any
And
of your
Silicon
network
One
devices
is the
until they've
engine
gotten to
that
the
can
third or
funnel
fifth
all this data
generation,
and to
right?
feed those incredibly data-hungry GPUs.
Which we may actually be
So
at,
with our
since you
Silicon
can
One
now
based
do
switches, we are
50
delivering
tops
an
with a
astounding
Raspberry Pi 5.
800
But
gigabits per second per port.
getting rid of
That's just
heat inside a
right?
switch or
Amazing.
router
And
is
you
a
may be
real
thinking,
problem.
she's like, I'm running at 25 gigs. Why do I need an 800 gigs? Once you light up some of these GPU servers, the ones you talked about earlier, where you can scale from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8, you're going to need that kind of bandwidth to feed these hungry machines. So performance is foundational.
Right.
But what I think is notable is that
So-
we're not just getting faster, we're getting smarter.
He's missing a key point
So
here.
Hyperfabric is a new operating model.
If you take a
that
look at
allows you
what
to
they're
deploy
doing
a Cisco
with
validated
the
design.
Cisco validated design, right?
No
That's
more
the
CLI.
solution stuff.
You don't have to log in and
You take a
configure
look at
these
what
things.
you're
You push
doing
a
with your
button,
GPU.
This stuff ships, configured, deploys. You put it.
You're not
this
moving
just
as
works.
much
So a
data
really,
in and
really
out of the
powerful
GPU
new
as you are
operating model.
inside the GPU.
And then, in my opinion, the most interesting thing is the one you just talked about, which is this new category of smart switch. So by bringing a DPU,
And by the way, when you and I first started talking about coming on board,
So when
you
we
coming
talk
on
about-
board,
Yes.
we talked about it at our first dinner, saying we got to do
The
this.
smart switch idea,
this has been the dream.
there
And
is
so I think
one
this is really
use
important for everyone
case
to
that I think
understand.
nobody's
This is not
nailed,
just a
and we'll
This
see
is
if they
a
get
new
this.
class of device because it
Moving-
combines a security processor and a network processor in a single device. And when you put
Moving
them together,
intelligence
they're
off of a
independently
switch,
managed,
whether you're
it
using
opens the door for a whole array of
some
advanced
sort of
security
streaming
processing that we
protocol,
do
whether you're
built
using
into the
SNMP, whether you're
but
using
not trying to
whatever you're
cobble a
using.
separate box into
What do
the
we
network.
have?
So with these DPU-enabled
you know,
switches,
application
we can take what used
telemetry.
to be a firewall function, we break it up into
It
software,
consumes a
and we
huge amount of
sprinkle it
data.
everywhere.
So if you're
Right, so
not
very,
actually
very
digesting
fine-grained
this data
controls that can
in the
protect an
device
application
itself,
in ways
your
that
cloud
wasn't
isn't going to
possible
work.
before. So I think
You
we're
don't have
gonna
enough
find
The
this-
reason that's important is why?
Because what
Why?
we want to do is we want to put controls around the services that make up an application.
Yep.
So traditionally, firewalls lived in a box, and that box
The problem
lived
is
at
you
the
can
edge of the
get
network.
this.
But what we want to think about is a little tiny micro perimeter that can protect every database, every web server, every Kubernetes cluster gets its own little miniature perimeter. And so with Hypershield, we've delivered an architecture that can create
Zero Trust fixes this. You don't need micro firewalls. You need
little tiny baby firewalls.
Well, you need firewalls to protect your
One on the
services.
database, one on the web server.
But if you're going to whitelist everything through Zero Trust, you don't need them. You need one big firewall to make sure nobody gets through to it, and then everything else is blacked, right?
Anyone who's administered a firewall will know, like, hey, wait a minute. I can't manage 1,000 firewalls, let alone 1,000,000 firewalls, right? So we need a new management model. And here's where Cisco's really
a new management model where they bought somebody, and not necessarily the best one in the market.
If a new version's available, we put that into a parallel data path, and the AI engine, again, coming back to the power of AI, compares the two versions. We watch them for 5 or 6 days. The AI engine says, hey, these are the same. We'll migrate flows onto the new version. Keep the old one in place for another 5 or 6 days.
This
the
is
AI
like
says it's still the same. We load the next version. So this thing upgrades itself.
Yep, just like your iPhone.
Think about it, right? You've got a firewall. That
okay, so what he just said
right?
is going to cause every security professional who does this business to
But you
freak
can
out.
rest assured that it's not going to break because it's been tested and proven with live data paths.
Yeah, just like all the other stuff that was tested and proven and blew up your network.
You've never been able to put security and deliver a better security outcome without big, expensive, proprietary, power-hungry security appliances. It's this distributed system. And the key to it all is that cloud-delivered management. You talked about it, the security cloud control. So it's a single place for your policies to set up with multiple different enforcement points. And this is really important. We're not asking you to rip and replace your existing infrastructure, but rather it's the opposite, where we're saying, keep your existing infrastructure, use security cloud control as the umbrella that takes over all of your stuff, the old stuff and the new stuff, and then bit by bit, as your infrastructure ages out, you can
lock you into us. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll get more advantages.
To put security in places you couldn't imagine before.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom
You'll be able to
Gillis.
send checks
Thank
to
you so
Cisco
much.
that you could never imagine before. The problem is we've
As we
heard
talked
this
about
vision
earlier,
before.
AI itself is going to present a whole new class of risks. And so the question you might ask is, why is it going to present this whole new class of risk? It's because the application architecture is fundamentally different. If you think about the classical application architecture, you basically had the infrastructure layer, you had a data layer, you had some kind of application or business logic layer, and of course there's a presentation layer. But now what we're doing is we have inserted another layer in there, and that layer that we're inserting is the models. Now, it's not just one model. You'll actually have a multi-model world. And these models aren't just going to be tens, they might be thousands over time. Now, what is the core characteristic of a model? The core characteristic of a model is it is fundamentally non-deterministic in nature, which means it's unpredictable.
So
business applications need
for
to be
folks who are
predictable.
interested in looking
So you're
into
basically
large-scale
trying to build
data
predictable
center class
applications on an
microsegmentation,
unpredictable
the name of the company I was
core
thinking of
layer
is
within your
Illumio.
stack.
Go take a look at
Right?
Illumio.
And
They've been doing this for
opens up
years.
a whole new class of risks that we have not seen happen before. Now, we also know that if this unpredictability of this model, when a
Okay,
model
so this
breaks,
model
really
risk
bad
that they're
things can
talking about
happen.
right now, we did see.
Because you might have
The initial
hallucinations,
rollout
you
of
might have
NAC was
behaviors that you
exactly
didn't want it to
where we
have, and you
ran
might
into the
actually
problem
create
between
some
the
kind of
security
liability
model
for your
and the
organization.
CEO
So
being
what we
able to
have to
log in.
do is we have to start thinking about two key areas
And
that we need to make sure that we can
this was the company
de-risk in
that
order to make sure
had
that
that
the
problem.
applications we're building on these models are done in the right way. And those two areas are around model safety and model security, where you're trying to secure AI itself.
I'm
You're not
violently
using
saying
AI
I
in your
agree with that,
security
but I don't know
stack
what Cisco
alone.
can do about
You're also trying to secure AI itself.
Well, the problem
Right? And if you start
the problem
thinking
with
on the
looking
first
at it from a
aspect,
model
which is safety,
perspective,
safety says, is the model behaving the way that we want the model to behave?
the
Is there gonna
problem
be
is that a
hallucination? Is there
model
gonna be
is
toxicity?
always
Is there going to be some kind
behind
of self-harm
reality.
that can be created in the model? How can we make sure
So model
that we
response time
determine
is
if that
always
is
going to be
happening, and what
behind
can we do to
reality, and
stop
the
that
only
from happening?
way to
And then
prevent the
security
safety, when
side
he's talking
says,
about the safety
is
thing,
there an
is to
external
massively
actor
simplify.
that's going to go out and have a prompt injection attack.
Because
on the model
one thing these
that could
guys are
change
not
the
going to be able to
behavior of the
do,
model itself.
and not
These
just
are
Cisco,
two
but all of us,
extremely
all the
important
vendors, is
dimensions that need to
when
be
is
factored in
Model
so
A
we
and
can
Model
de-risk
B,
them.
when are they
And
going to
that's
interact?
precisely why
Right,
on
when you look
January
at their
15th, we had
Cisco
launched
certified
this all
designs,
new product
they only
called
have a
Cisco
certain
AI
amount,
Defense.
a certain pot of
And the
money to do
goal
this
over here
testing.
was to make
This
sure
is the
that
thing that we
when
ran into
developers build
at our last job.
applications
This
or
thing I
users
ran
use
into Juniper when
applications,
we
that
were
they
doing
don't have to
solutions.
actually think about security all the time, because
You
they
just,
can innovate
when are the
fiercely
models
and
going to
fearlessly,
send
and we
conflicting
will
data
take
to each
care
other?
of the
And
security
you're not
and
going to see
safety
that until you
issues
see it on live
that need to be
networks.
thought about as a common substrate across all models, all applications, all agents. And so that was this whole new category of a product that we had built that would provide you visibility, make sure that you validate the model, and then make sure that you have runtime enforcement. Now, what are the two big problems that Cisco AI Defense solves? The first problem is it enables an employee of an organization, when they're using AI tools like ChatGPT or any other tool that you might have, to ensure that those tools can be used securely. And that either unintentionally or intentionally, if they are trying to either
Defined by
exfiltrate data
what?
or accidentally have data that's getting leaked or getting ingested in, we want to make sure that there's guardrails put in place for that. So that's the first
Which
problem.
means,
But the larger problem, that's a more complicated problem, is every application that gets built using these models, because every app is going to be an AI application, every app is going to have some kind of models that they use. How do we make sure that those applications that are being built have some kind of guardrail, so that not only are you providing visibility on what's happening, but you're actually validating the model on a continuous basis to see, is this model behaving the way that we want it to behave? And then when it doesn't, you can provide some runtime enforcement guardrails, so that when it's actually being used, we can
and the
stop it
problem
from
is
happening.
you will
And so,
only see
rather
that
than me
after
just
you've
talk
had a
about it,
massive
what I thought
breach.
we'd do is we'd invite up DJ Sampath, who runs our AI business, to show you a demo. So DJ, come on up.
So the problem is we're going into a brand new world while DJ is coming up here, where we don't know how these models are going to break themselves. And they're telling me that they're going to be able to prevent this from breaking.
What you're hearing from a demand signal perspective.
I have
and
an
show us a
issue
demo.
then.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yep.
I mean, I think the problems that he's
you know, we've
mentioning
been
are
working on
legit
this
problems
for a
with
little
AI
over a year
models,
right now.
but
We've been talking about
I just
doing
don't see
this.
how a
And,
networking
you know, in
company
all
is
of our
going to
conversations
be
with our
the...
customers,
No, that's the
we've had over
problem.
100+ conversations.
And this is something that
What
we've
we've
talked
learned
about before. You
is
have to have, even in a
security
zero
and
trust
safety
network, you have to have
is
an
a
area where
top-of-mind
you
concern for them as they think about
decrypt
adoption of
and
AI.
filter
And so,
application
let me
and
show
user
you
traffic
what
in
we've
real
built
time.
with AI Defense.
Which now you
So,
have a trust relationship
you know,
with whoever's
for
doing that
every
filter,
security
and that's part of the
organization
problem.
that we've had this conversation, the very first thing that they talk about is, you know, visibility is top of their minds, right? So what you're seeing here is the AI Defense dashboard. This dashboard lives inside of the security cloud control. And right off the bat, we provide you with, you know, clear visibility of all of the applications and agents that are running inside of your environment, the models that power them, the data that you're using for inferencing, and finally, the users that are accessing the third-party applications. Now let's take a quick look into this.
So we're talking about a trust network here.
What you're seeing here is all of the
Zero trust
applications
network.
that the users are using, the employees are using inside of the organization, are seamlessly categorized, and we're doing this with the help of a very cool integration with Cisco Secure Access. Now, because of this integration, what we're
Right.
able to see
You have to go
is
through their
details
firewall.
of how the generative AI application is being used inside of your organization, whether it's
This looks like a
sanctioned,
Decrypted.
not sanctioned,
interface.
and also, you know, all the way to the identities
not a
of
bad thing.
users that are accessing these applications. Now, hopping back into that second use case that you were talking about, right, Jeetu, you were talking about people are building first-party applications as well. We are providing unprecedented visibility into all of these applications. Whether they're using these as a gateway or whether they're using an API to call into those AI applications, we give you complete visibility into that. And what you can then see is, you know, you might discover apps that you know that are running inside of your environment, and maybe there are apps that you didn't know, you know, that are running inside of your environment as well. Now, for the ones that you do know, you can see, you know, as soon as you click into this, you talked about model validation.
So basically,
Really
we're
important step to
assuming
make
network
sure that these
analytics
models
here.
are just
Yeah.
validated. They don't have
That
to
they're
be
good.
So you see
that-
a score that
yeah.
pops up right on top.
Yeah.
But for the ones
Nobody
that you didn't
deploys
know
this
about,
properly.
say, you know,
No.
there's a new
That's true, too.
application and a new model that starts to pop up, we make it incredibly simple. We give you a simple button that allows you to validate a model what normally would take 7 to 10 weeks, we've shrunk it down into a matter of minutes. Now, with this, you're able to...
Congratulations. So we're now where Extreme
I'm not
Networks
here to
was
promote
8 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not here to like sing the praises of other networking vendors, but I mean, Extreme is doing this a bunch of years ago.
Yeah, and it was a tough sell too.
It was a tough sell. The policy and analytics were top notch, but nobody ever bought it and deployed it, or they bought it and never deployed it.
We've organized this by the different threat types. We've organized this by different attack techniques. And you, as a security practitioner,
so I'm just trying to say, exactly it's nice to finally see it show up here.
Yeah,
but there's nothing new about this.
Right? No, and all it's doing is saying, hey, somebody's using ChatGPT. It's not saying I'm protecting you by doing something about the fact that people are importing all of their Word documents into ChatGPT.
Well, and here's another question, right? If I don't have visibility directly into the host that's using this, do I actually know what's going on? Because I run LM Studio on this machine. I can run AIs, and if we've seen anything from the recent DeepSeek event, is that, and of course what the presenter just said.
And you can,
okay, so here's important. He says that they're actually monitoring the prompts in real time and informing you in real time. So the amount of compute that's going to require.
They can't do that if you're running HTTPS 1.3. If you're going through, you cannot have an intermediary certificate authority. You can't do certificate extension with that protocol. It's end-to-end encrypted. They cannot get those prompts.
When you actually have to protect a user, that can be fully integrated into secure access.
That's right.
And if you have to make sure that you have enforcement,
so you have to trust the vendor.
We just talked about smart switches and Hypershield. This is going to
smart switches aren't going to be able to get this data because it's HTTPS TLS 1.3.
All managed through Security Cloud Control. All managed through a Cisco AI assistant that can be on top that actually makes sure.
This is some pure Quilm architecture, kids.
That's right. Yep. It's seamlessly connected into that fabric.
Now, this is a
I'm not sure my body can handle this much
developments
marketing.
that are happening so fast. One of the things that we did recently was this notion of testing out and putting DeepSeek to the test on saying how safe is it actually.
Right.
And so tell us a little bit more about that, because we recently did a study there.
That's right. The Cisco threat research team came out with this study where they took out essentially what's called the harm bench, which is a set of prompts that are available, and they sampled a harm bench, and then we attacked DeepSeek, right? We tried to jailbreak the model. What we discovered was 100% of the attacks succeeded.
And this is the one time that 100% is not a good thing.
That's right.
So,
right? In this particular case,
you
can see that
not a functioning
preview model. Just, only 20
breaking out a model is a function of queries that you put in. I'm not going to go to somebody like Cisco to make my models safe.
If you have thousands and thousands of models, not all
I'm going to go
be
to
great in security, but you still want to make sure you de-risk your organization.
I'm going to go to whatever that means anymore, right? I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to go to Meta. I'm going to maybe Microsoft or Apple, right? Somebody who can get in at the OS level before everything gets encrypted.
To me, this is like a classic.
Thank you so much, my friend.
So how do they do this?
I don't mean for us to be totally negative the whole time here, but
I mean, it's neat to see this.
Taking a product and rebadging it as something else. This is like, going back to the Extreme case, taking Extreme Analytics and repurposing it as Extreme AI Analytics. And that's what they seem to be doing here. Because
how do we future-proof
so folks, tell me if I'm crazy here. If I'm using a browser as an interface and I'm going through any network, not just Cisco's network, and my browser supports TLS 1.3, the latest standard, which completely eliminates the ability to offload that encryption traffic. It's end-to-end encrypted. How is anything any network vendor going to do other than looking at that port and knowing that that's where it's going? How are they going to be able to do anything to that?
An agent on the PC, maybe? I mean,
they didn't say anything about having an agent.
I know, but that's the only way I could think of you would do it, is something actually monitoring.
I mean, and to say, and well, we're being critical at Cisco here. Yeah, it's a Cisco announcement. We're going to be critical at Cisco. But we're going to be critical at everybody, because if you don't have an agent directly on the operating system, you're not going to get this data.
Start thinking about
you're not going to be able to do anything with this prompt.
Ways that the physical and digital worlds are blending, and what's going to happen in the future-proof workplace is you're going to see networking capabilities and collaborative capabilities for enhancing the experience and security completely blend together. And if you don't blend it together, then they look and feel like a very disjointed experience. So you want to make sure that all these things are working harmoniously together. But it all starts with the network. So
okay, I got to ask folks in the audience here, if you've implemented a Cisco network from data center to edge to security, would you use the word harmonious for anything you've ever done? Seriously.
Right? Yeah. And these were
I have my preferences that I might be wrong.
These were actual sensors.
If you had to manage those licenses, it's how harmonious is that?
Well, I mean, even getting one prompt to talk to another is always been a challenge.
And we listened to your feedback because you said,
and I know this because I used to be one of the last points of integration when we were building demos. Right? We were the ones who found out the code was broken half the time.
We had to simplify our licensing model as well.
Yes, thank you.
We had one product ID for hardware. We had one
thank you
kind of license for cloud and on-prem, and we needed to make sure that we had one product support model. And this was feedback that all of you had given us, and you should keep in mind that this is the direction that we're going to be going in.
You should keep in mind that we're promising we're going to do it until we don't promise we're going to do it, and our competitors are doing it, so now we have to think about it.
Yep, I thought you would be.
One license. Where have we heard that before?
But I'm delighted to announce now that we've now got the next
kind of an extreme
major
position,
milestone, which is we're announcing zero friction Wi-Fi 7 branch and site capabilities from both an access point perspective as well as the switch. So let's talk about this a little bit. So when you start thinking about this,
what is different about this?
We're launching 2 models of switches that are both very energy efficient kind of designs. They're new access points designed for smaller spaces, and they'll make sure that we have, one of them is a wall-mounted version that's going to be great for hotels and dormitories and things of that nature. And then the other one is a regular access point. And
so we're running a whole bunch of Ubiquity in our homes,
and
it's like
announcing a branch switch.
They're announcing
specifically designed to work
what we're
with
running
the Wi-Fi 7 access point.
right now. Coming to you over.
So
I'm actually about to replace some of mine
there's going to be a continued
newer.
level of
you're going to put a 7 in?
Wi-Fi 7.
Newer access
I got
points,
2 of my access points are Wi-Fi 7. I can't turn on the Wi-Fi 7 because I roam. I lose
platform.
connectivity. So I might be upgrading my access points.
I've got a Wi-Fi 7 wall mount AP that's slated to go into my bedroom here in the next day or 3.
Nice.
We're also announcing an AI assistant for networking as part of the Cisco Unified AI Assistant.
How is this different than Mist?
And have a prompt-based interface
Well,
and a natural
this is
language
like table
interface
stakes. I mean, everybody's doing this. We
management
talked about this.
Yeah.
Well, again, not to
switches
go too much on
baked into
Extreme,
the
but Extreme announced something similar
Right?
6 months
And so
ago.
to talk
We
a
announced
little bit
that.
more
Everybody's
about
got
this,
that. That's just
rather
training
than
an
us just
LLM
talking
on all
about
your
it, what I
support.
thought we'd
and
do is
documentation.
share with
and
you
we
what
saw
a
that
typical
announcement.
customer
Well, we
like
covered that
SAP is
announcement
doing
about
in
6
their
months ago.
environment
a
for
couple months ago.
fundamentally reimagining the workplace. So let's roll video.
Okay, fundamentally,
Cisco and SAP have agreed on ambitious milestone for the migration of our more than 250 offices globally. Right now, we are planning on having upwards of 350,000 devices on the network.
yeah,
including
I was
IoT
wondering
devices.
why they're pushing
We
so
have more
hard
than
on
100,000 employees. They
in-person
need best-in-class IT
offices
infrastructure to work wherever,
when the
whenever,
clear
and however
long-term
they choose.
trending
With
is
the devices they prefer.
hybrid work.
With Cisco, we've made our network simpler and more secure. Cisco SDA also enabled us to improve our zero trust access policy, ensuring only trusted devices can access corporate resources. With the Cisco Spaces, we could leverage this foundation, establish a global platform.
Okay,
for smart
more
offices.
table stakes.
First experience confirms our hopes and expectations that
Yes,
we can
you turned
manage
on
everything in
.1x on
one
your
place
switch.
together
Very
with
nice.
a professional partner like Cisco.
Okay. Am I being bad?
That's all right.
I hope what you're seeing is that in networking, what we will be doing in 2025, from a standpoint of innovation,
Will be where
more than
everybody
we've
else has
actually
been for the
innovated
past
in
10
the
years.
decade combined. The velocity of
Even used
innovation
the
is going to
decade.
go up exponentially, and you can start to see the tempo and feel. And we've done the same thing in security. We're doing the same thing in observability. So just know that expect a lot of cool innovation that's coming your way, because we want to make sure that you're ready for this next era. Now,
We expect
as
us to
part of
try to
these
catch up with
workplaces,
what's going on out
Experience
there.
really matters. And you want to make sure that we are delivering an AI-powered employee and customer set of experiences. So it's not just for employees, but also for your customers. And if you look at the past few years, the team has done a fantastic job in innovating in all different areas, from video devices to WebEx to contact center and all of these particular areas.
Especially
it's
the employees.
very hard to
I mean,
go out and
especially
actually
the
drain the
customers.
slide, because it would take
outside of
me
IT,
30
who
minutes
cares?
just to talk about this.
Nobody cares.
But what I want to talk about is one particular area that I think is going to be game-changing in the world, that all of our lives get affected with.
AI.
Regardless of the job that we do.
Quantum.
And that is,
Quantum
we
AI.
spend weeks in our lives, 4 to 6 weeks, for every person's life gets spent waiting on hold to have someone come up as an operator so that they can help you out when you call.
Yes, Google solved that, you
I'm not making
idiot.
this up. This is real.
No, he's talking about call centers.
Over a week of your, over a month of your life, you've just spent waiting on hold.
No,
So we
that's if you don't have
and
a
so
Pixel
we
phone.
have
Pixel phone will wait on hold
all-new
for
WebEx AI
you.
agent
You
that
Apple
we
weenies,
announced
if you haven't
at
figured
WebEx
this out
One.
yet,
What
that's
is a
one of the
WebEx
best
AI
things
agent?
about this.
We want to make sure that you have no hold times, and every single time you call, the virtual AI agent sounds just like a human being and can be interrupted.
And will still not answer your questions.
You can ask it, and you can change your mind and ask for something different. It'll understand the tone and emotion that you have, and it'll be able to answer your questions.
Will it direct me
80
to a
of the
human
time.
faster?
So for the 10% of the times that you can't answer the question, it'll know exactly who to transfer that call to so that they can answer your question.
Good answer.
It's completely magical. And by the way, if you think this is hard to go configure, what we've done is not only provided this WebEx AI agent, but we've also provided a WebEx AI agent studio that can help you design these agents for certain use cases so that you can
So
specialize
this type of thing is required. This is needed. I'm not sure I want it through WebEx, but
the thing is,
this
it
is
is
one
required.
of the big advantages of AI coming is
yeah,
to
but
be your
how
frontline
is
support.
this different from well, so we've covered Salesforce, for example.
Yeah,
is doing a massive push
I would think so.
AI.
I'm doing great. I'm excited about all the stuff that you
What's
folks have
different
built,
from
so
what
why don't you show us a
Salesforce
demo?
is different than what these guys are
So,
doing?
you know, as you mentioned, we spend so much time,
Or
so
Microsoft,
much time,
or Apple.
waiting on
Apple's the
hold,
laggard, but
what if you could easily create an AI agent that could support your customers' needs? So
which is
this
what
our
SAP
AI
is
agent
pitching
studio.
right now. Not
And
SAP,
what you
I'm
have
sorry.
here is a
Salesforce.
very simple interface.
SAP will
very
be pitching it next
straightforward.
week.
And you'll also
Yeah.
notice that we have pre-built templates here that you can automatically create an AI agent with.
These are kind of inquiries that you get on a regular basis that you wanted to train the agent with the best responses that might have been there.
Exactly.
So as long as your use case fits within their bounds, you're fine.
And you can start from
Yeah.
scratch and customize your own agent. And so here's where you're going to be able to talk to a
So
scripted
it's
or an autonomous
a
agent.
valid problem
And,
to try
you know,
to solve.
scripted are
It
the
really
canned
is, and I think
responses,
that,
there's
and I
very
think we will have
structured
competition.
conversations, and the autonomous
Well,
agent
there's-
is
it's already
I
out
struggle
there.
with the
AI to
WebEx
be
side of it.
dynamically
I have
responding
such a
to your
bad taste in my mouth from every time I've ever used WebEx.
And
I don't
so
know. You guys have a
we're
better
gonna do an
experience with
autonomous
WebEx
agent
than we
today,
did.
and our
I'd
agent
be-
will
we'd
ask
love to
questions
know.
and perform actions. And
But holy
when
crap,
you get to the profile,
know,
you can kind of tell your agent exactly
if
what
you're
it
going to
wants
say
do,
implement
give it
WebEx
instructions,
or
give it
slam your hand
parameters,
in a car
and
door, I
also
would
be
have
able
to think
to
about
You
it.
gotta assume
actions like
Zoom's got
agent
something coming
handover
on this
and
too.
an identity
Yeah, I
verified
mean,
user.
Zoom has got
And so
some
for this
challenges
particular
too, but
instance,
they're
we're using a financial
Zoom's-
institution.
I guess
and
Zoom does have
we're gonna
telephony
go
kind of
over
things,
here
but,
and actually test out how our
um,
agent is going to support our customers' needs. And you can do this in either a
so.
voice
So
channel
one of the
or in a
things
chat
is
channel, but
this
to
makes
save,
sense when you
everybody's
realize
ears, we're going to just do it
that
chat
the
today.
idea of having a
So what you're
phone
going to see here is
on
I'm
your
gonna be able
desk,
to
a corporate phone,
go.
is really losing
Tell this
any
agent
value at
that
all.
I have seen a suspicious
100%.
activity
Losing
on
tons
my
of value
credit
because
card,
I got
and
one
need
of
some
these.
help to report it.
Yeah.
I
No
don't need that
problem.
phone.
They're here to
I've
help
And
me.
got
I can
and
have,
they're going to
even if
verify
it's
who
you want
I
it
am
secure
with
and
my date of
controlled, you
birth
can put an app.
and
Put an app on the
my
phone,
Teams
right?
or whatever it might
But sometimes you need to make sure that a customer is not going to go off on a different tangent, right? It's those guardrails we were talking about
Control
earlier.
your
And so
customers.
what's going to happen here
Sorry.
is, oops, sorry, there we go. The agent is going to be able to take a second and say, I know that I'm not actually supposed to be transferring $5,000 into your account just for the issue at hand, right?
Yep.
So they're going to redirect the conversation back to the task that they were asked to do in the first place when they were.
And that is not going to frustrate customers at all.
And this is something that you can do, like you said, in text.
They are being smart.
This
is a stage demo.
And in voice, it's not going to sound like a robot.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to sound like a real human.
That's just going to go
south. The latency is going to be low, and you'll be able to switch. You'll be able to interrupt and do all of those amazing things.
So once again, this thing isn't new. Anybody who's called like United Airlines customer helpline in the past 10 years has experienced this.
Background like myself was able to create an AI agent that can support.
But it's cool that they have it. I mean,
I'm
I think
excited
you've got to
for
have
getting
it.
a month back
It
from
looks
my
like
life,
it's
for half my life. That's
not a
right.
bad UI to set up a new agent.
Take care. Give it up for Caitlin.
But there's already a whole bunch of this
All right,
stuff out there, and people are already really
The next person I want to
confident.
bring up is the individual that actually runs our entire workplace business, that Caitlin's in his organization, and he's our Senior Vice President for Future-Proof Workplaces, Anurag Dhingra. Anurag, come on up, my friend. So for those of you that don't know Anurag, he was the CTO of WebEx for a long time and did a lot of innovation in AI over there before ChatGPT was anywhere around.
We had an early start.
We had an early start. So tell us, what are you most excited about right now?
Yeah, so what I'm really excited about is to work with our customers and help them future-proof their infrastructure in their workplaces. You know, you were talking about the age of AI, the DeepSeek effect, and the operator effect. When you think about it, it's
how many times
not
does somebody
just
use
affecting
the
the
term
data center.
future-proof and it actually?
I was about to ask you that, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen next. How are they going to future-proof you?
Robots and humanoids in the workplace. This is happening in factory floors today.
This is what they think is going to happen. What's actually going to happen?
Get ready for that. And the wireless access points that you were just talking about, that make me really excited. With these two new access points, we are now completing a full line of Wi-Fi 7
Dr. Strange saying 14 million different possible features.
You have to imagine a network
the problem is
high throughput, low latency, really stable with multi-link operations, because all of these applications are going to need
an operational network,
these
which
Wi-Fi
many
7
companies
points
sell.
can finally deliver that to our customers.
Well, most people don't realize in this one that as your data demands increase and your compute increases, like the thing that keeps all of that humming is the network behind the scenes. And if you don't have that, then...
Well, most people don't realize, using his hand gestures, is that all your traffic is north-south now. Building networks is even easier. And you better pay attention to your edge. So SD-WAN is absolutely required. Make sure you back it up. Okay, we're done here. Can we move on?
Very powerful Wi-Fi network, and then switches that back that up with power over Ethernet and all the capabilities that you need for an AI-first world.
Now, talk a little bit about this platform effect that we've talked about of creating compounding value across the entire Cisco portfolio, because you're going to need to have networking, you're going to need to have collaboration, you're going to need to have security all tied together. There's going to be some observability with Thousand Eyes.
Doesn't have to be tied together. That's why we have layers.
All these pieces together, and what have we already delivered?
Yeah. So I think one asset or one advantage that we have is we have these amazing industry-leading applications across all of these categories. You know, of course, we are a networking company, but we are also a security company, an observability company, and a collaboration company. So bringing all of this together in a platform helps us or lets us do things that would otherwise just not be possible. So
see, if they were actually industry leading, they'd be showing a Gartner Magic Quadrant right now, and then they'd realize that they're not industry leading in any of these industries.
And Thousand Eyes is now embedded across our portfolio.
I would put them down as there and competent, but they're not industry leading.
It's obviously included in all of our routers and switches, and that's the
there's at
platform
least
effect, because
3
now
other
you can
network
stitch
vendors
together
ahead of
data and insights across your
on the
full
WAN,
deployment,
LAN,
across your
Magic
full
Quadrant.
infrastructure, and deliver amazing capabilities.
And this was one of your original visions we had when we were starting to craft this notion of the AI assistant, where it wasn't just that every single thing will have a consistent UI to do AI, but
now the thing that I have to be fair about here, John,
the way in which you troubleshoot will
is they're talking about this whole
correlate.
AIG, this whole agentic model that everybody's talking about.
It can allow us to do things
Is Cisco really still a networking company? Or are they more of a software company? Because if they're a software company, this makes more sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense from the network capability, because right now, if I'm building a network, I'm locking out all that crap.
But then we have skills for
Right?
each
I'm
of the
encrypting
domains.
all my
We have
traffic
a
end to
networking
end,
skill you were
and I'm
talking
locking
about.
out
We
all
have
that crap. And
security
all I'm
skills,
doing is
we have
watching
Thousand Eyes
latency.
skills, we have a
Watching
control
the
route
latency
skills
of the
for collaboration.
application.
And now you can start to do things that go across these domains, and you can get insights that are really.
I mean, I think that it's pretty evident that Cisco doesn't want to be a networking company. They want to be a company that has networking. Like they've been moving away from networking.
And the platform lets you build these
Yeah.
things very, very fast.
I mean, maybe I'm just looking at this from the wrong viewpoint. It could be just colored by my past with the company,
because we have
right?
now started to make sure that this platform has come to full fruition.
Trying to find the newest WAN.
What is the one ask you would have of the audience?
I see 2003.
Yeah, so I would say that you should start really leaning into this AI, the era of AI, and get your infrastructure ready for this, because this is coming. Every application is going to be an AI-ready application. So Wi-Fi 7, new switches, everything that comes together to deliver an amazing network.
From the completeness of vision,
just lean in.
Juniper, HPE, and Extreme are all way ahead of Cisco.
We are
Cisco
an
is just barely
innovation
ahead of
company at our
Huawei.
core. Thank you so much for doing all the work that you're doing, my friend.
Which is
Well,
not what I would consider.
to be the devil's advocate, maybe this new software direction with Splunk is it, but do they have the ability to execute on an integration vision when they've never done it before?
How do you secure that workplace? And when we think about securing the workplace, a very important concept and architecture that has to be kept in mind is this notion of zero trust. And zero trust has to be with zero friction, because if you don't have zero friction with zero trust, then it just gets to be very, very hard to go out and implement, and it gets in the way of how people do their jobs. So what do we mean by zero trust? Zero trust basically says least privileged access, which means that only give people access to the things that they need to have to get the job done, but no more.
That's not what zero trust means.
Big shift that we've had.
That's what it
in the
means for
security
them.
domain for a while, but the reality is this: is traditional zero trust network access, or what's called ZTNA, is simply not sufficient. And let me walk you through the way that traditional ZTNA works. You've essentially got people, and you've got managed devices that you're somehow looking to make sure get connected to sanctioned applications. And that's what you've gone out and dealt with traditional ZTNA. But how is this market evolving, and how is it changing? Well, you don't just have managed devices, you might also have unmanaged
Universal
devices for which people want to go out and log in. And you might
Where
also have IoT
Where have we heard that one before?
things that want to log into the network. Your
Wow.
printer
Oh my
needs to
God.
log into the network. Your printer
Okay, I
needs to make
take back
sure
all the nice things
that
I said about their
it
marketing.
communicates to the IT
What the hell,
administrator that
dude?
there's a paper jam, or that it's out of
I
ink.
have the original
What
slide you
specifically
copied
needs to
that
happen,
off of
that
from a
should
different
not allow
company.
you to have full
And I don't
rights
think they
given
were
to the printer
very
to be able to get into your
out there
customer
with it
database,
either.
because that's a vulnerability. So how do you make sure that zero trust happens with that? And that means that you have to leverage ICE segmentation tags right in there. That's the benefit of the platform. When
It means
actually
you
a
have to
platform
make your
like
network
Cisco's,
way more
you can now start to
complicated
benefit whatever
and
is
put this
connecting
into
to
your
the
network so you can't change any
You
of this
know
stuff
exactly
out.
what
Because
that
if you've
should be
implemented
connected to,
end-to-end
and only
encryption
to
and
that thing and
ZTNA
nothing beyond
trust
that thing.
relationships
And
properly,
if you do that
you don't
right,
care about this.
magic starts happening over there. And so to talk a little bit more about this, rather than us just talking about it, what I thought we'd do is we'd invite up a customer, British Telecom, local over here, who's actually gone out and fundamentally reimagined their workplace with security and with all the other kind of networking capabilities that we have. So I have the pleasure of having Colin, who is the CTO of the
I shouldn't say
BT
that.
Business Services.
They were one of the first people
to come on
to
up over
do a
here so he
dual
can talk to us a
vendor
little bit about what's
core
going on. He's
network
one of
that
the
I
most
saw.
visionary customers that I have
Seriously,
the
they
pleasure of
did a
working
good
with. So
job
come on
on
up, Colin.
that. But big companies like to deal with big companies.
How are you?
So tell me what's going on at BT, and what are you folks doing to reimagine the workplace?
Sure. First of all, 30-year relationship with the BT and yourselves.
So just to understand,
Thank you. Happy birthday.
when we're harshing on the ZTNA message here, we're going to go back and explain ZTNA to you in a deeper dive, what this thing really means. But the idea of ZTNA isn't to give the person the least amount of trust and say, well, that's what I'm doing. You don't trust the vendor either. Right. So the whole concept of buying zero trust networking from a networking vendor gives me some little glitches. Right. It should be an overlay.
Well, and it's even more dimensional than that. I mean, because it's I trust this person, but I don't trust the device he's on. So
Exactly.
you gotta figure that out as well.
And where do you inspect the traffic, and what do you do with the traffic, and who gets access to that?
It's a great responsibility. I mean,
All these guys are basically saying is we're going to shoot for the lowest common denominator value of access, which is a good start.
There is no
But
plan
there's a
B
whole bunch of stuff
without the
missing from
network.
this.
It is so important. So thinking about this, one of the challenges we had recently, just after COVID, we wanted to get our employees back into the office.
Yes, we want to get everybody back into the office because we paid for a whole bunch of buildings and we're really grumpy about it.
And it was a, the network was part of the attraction to bring back really, really great experiences. So we have, we have offices.
Question for the audience out there, if you guys are still awake, is your work network actually better than your home network?
We had 800 offices.
Good question.
Because I can tell you, where I'm sitting here halfway up a mountain in the middle of the high country in North Carolina, my network response time is faster than if I'm sitting at any desk in any company.
What's new
The
about
last
this?
place
What about
I
you,
worked,
John?
there was
things like
35 plus SSIDs that were visible, and the network was the wireless network was just so noisy. And the IT did a good job of kind of tamping that down as much as possible, but I mean, it just you can't make that network work as crisply as if you have full control over all the airspace. And while I can sometimes see my neighbor's SSID across the street, its signal is nowhere near strong enough to cause me issues.
Okay, you're going to love this one. You're going to love how daring I am here, John.
And security.
I just ran a speed test while we're streaming.
Individual personas for apps, things, and people.
So my network connection right now, 560 meg down.
Really important resilience that
You try to get that in a company.
all along.
Now you might have a really fast.
You get it on the
last
weekend,
mile.
it'll be right there.
Yeah, well, it's not only that. I mean, if I'm trained up on, say, Wi-Fi, I might have a 2 gig link. But what is going on the back end aggregation, right? I guarantee you, if you have more people on the aggregation router, it's going to be a slower connection.
And of course,
So when these guys are talking about the network was an attraction to get in, it's because maybe British broadband isn't where it needs to be.
Well, there's that.
And we learn and we iterate.
And that is a
and we
challenge,
build.
right? It's a challenge,
And this
depending on where you are.
infrastructure, we're powering the national critical infrastructure, and we needed a partner that was the critical infrastructure that powered that, and that's Cisco.
Yeah, and that's such an honor to be powering critical infrastructure for the National Critical Infrastructure Company. So what's next?
Oh, goodness. Look, there's a lot of really, really interesting things, and you talked a lot about it today. One is we are reimagining our global network, which we call Global Fabric, powered by Cisco, and that's using 76% less electricity, and it's an incredible piece of project. But in terms of in the networks for our own use, in the workplace, obviously, things like Shadow AI is a huge, huge thing. Talking to our customers, CIOs,
Shadow AI
really
isn't going
interesting.
away.
Half of them are worried about BYOD, whether or not they're allowed to even do it anymore.
Right.
It's really, really scary for CIOs right now, the ones that
Yeah,
I
but
talk
it's
to.
not.
And having the
It's been
controls
scary
of the
for
network is gonna be
CIOs for the
super
past
important.
15 years.
And the other thing that's really interesting is, I guess I'd call it dark compute. There's a huge amount of latent compute that our customers have in the networks, in the PCs that are in the network.
So when you have idle capacity in the PCs, you
Oh,
want to
bring
use
back
that
the
capacity so you
SETI
can do
project.
processing in this compute-constrained world that we live in.
Or folding it home.
Yeah. AI is sort of
Or
escape
mining Bitcoin.
into the network. And in a way, you could argue that the network is now the computer.
That's right.
And we need the fine-grained controls.
Sun
and everything coming
Microsystems.
together to be
Oh,
able to
I'm
control
sorry,
that
that's
and
Oracle
make it
now.
safe at the same time and perform.
Everything's old is new
The
again.
other thing that keeps me up
I'm
at
telling
night
you, that's the
is,
problem. That's why they get rid of us old
AI
farts.
ready networks.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the AI.
Because we
but
heckle
only
marketing.
Here we've been talking about what are the implications of the AI flows, elephant flows, jitter, all the implications, latency, all these things that is going to be really important when these flows start to hit. And if you
All
have
the things that vendors
200,000
have been tracking for the
PCs
past 20
starting
years.
to have little cloned versions of AI models doing training or doing tokens, what's going to happen to the network? We need to be ready.
Colin, we're looking forward
You
to
have
the next
no
30
idea
years
what's
with
going to
you, my
happen.
friend.
Thank you so
DeepSeek
much.
just
Thank you for
changed
being
all your
here. Appreciate
equation.
it. Cheers.
Totally.
All right, next I want to talk about a really important area, which is
A
this
really big
notion
shoe.
of secure global connectivity. And when you think about secure global connectivity, service providers are the fundamental backbone of global connectivity. We've actually had the pleasure of being along with them for the most part of our 40-year journey. And if you start thinking
I think
about
we're
what
getting
we've
close to the end here, folks. I think we got about
every
maybe
step
15
along the way
minutes.
with the service
Thanks for
providers,
hanging with
every
us.
major
We
transition
appreciate
that
you.
they've had. So whether
Hopefully, I've at
we wanna
least
hear from you.
confused a little.
to data, then to
Yeah,
video,
reach out to us.
and now
Make
we're
comment
moving
down
to AI.
below. Send
We've
us
been with them
a
all
note
along the
on
way.
X.
And if you start thinking about
It's IT Sparkcast on X,
what is
or you
happening
can
with
send us
AI, it's
email feedback at
fundamentally
itsparkcast.com. We
transforming
definitely want to
connectivity
hear what you
that the
guys
service
think about
providers are
this
gonna enable
conversation. Are we being
for
too harsh on
every
Cisco?
class of,
Are we
company that might be
biased?
out
We
there.
know we're biased,
And
but are we
we're
being too
making
biased
sure
and
that
too
we can
harsh?
actually innovate
But let us
on
know.
their behalf
Was there
so that
something
they
that
can
you heard today that
really
you're
start
super
thinking
super
about this
excited
in a
about,
fundamentally different
or
way.
is it
So
a lot of fluff like
if you
Lou and I've
if you
been
start
saying?
to think about the
See,
key
I would love
innovations, it's
people
around
to
routing
come
infrastructure,
with a great
it's
argument
around
and change
IP
my
and
mind.
optical convergence,
I love that.
and it's around automation and assurance.
I have not
These three
been
areas, there's
in
a
that
tremendous
place
amount
for a
of
long time.
of
I have a lot of
innovation going
friends
on
who've
with
had
service
all
providers.
bad experiences
So,
there. I've had some
what
friends who've had
is
good
actually
experiences, but
happening over here, and
the
what's
challenge
really
becomes,
noteworthy, and what looks like
I think my
complete
problem
magic?
is right now I've
Well,
been out of the
firstly,
mothership for
if
so
you start
long
thinking about it, AI will be a
that
massive
I'm seeing recycled
monetization
messaging.
tailwind for the service
Yeah.
providers.
And that really bothers
And
me. It's like, I
what I
get
mean by
it.
that
You're
is
going to
there's
have
two
turnover
major trends
in how your
that are going to be
Well,
organizations
really,
when
work.
the
really
world
important to keep in
flips
mind. The
underneath
first
you
one
with the
is
whole
this
AI
notion of a
thing, and you're not
hyper-distributed
prepared for
architecture,
it, when nobody
which
was
means that
prepared
you're
for
going to
it.
have a lot of models running everywhere.
Even OpenAI wasn't
Right?
prepared for
And
how
then the second
how
one is
big it would grow,
agentic,
how quickly
which
it
means that
grew
you're going
once
to
they
have multiple
launched.
agents across multiple
You,
data centers that
you
are
know,
going to
you
want to
got to
talk to
fall
each
back
other.
onto something, and what you fall back
So
onto is what you
multiple
already
models,
have, and you
multiple
really
I
agents
mean,
through this
the
notion of a
big problem for a
hyper-distributed
company like,
agentic architecture.
well, any company that's
And
building
if you
network
start thinking
infrastructure right
about
now, network
what we
communications
want to do is
infrastructure,
we want to
real time,
announce
whether you're talking
to the
about
market
WebEx
that
or
we will
Zoom
have
or
a Cisco
Microsoft
Agile
Teams, we've seen some
Services
interesting
Network.
news
And
on that
essentially
front
what that'll
recently as
do
well.
is
We're going to
provide
cover.
a level of simplicity and performance,
Is
but
that
it's also going to provide a level of security. So we will have,
everybody
for example,
needs to take
quantum
that
safe
new thing
MACsec
and make it to apply what they're
embedded
already
into this
selling.
kind of blueprint. And we'll have the ability
And
for monetization that can
what
be
I'm
delivered to
seeing,
the
so
service
look at this
providers.
slide right
Service
now.
providers
Agile
can take all
services
the
networking.
investment they've made
Simplicity and
and be able to
performance,
monetize these
security and
investments in
Quantum.
monetization.
He said
kind of
quantum.
constructive ways, because we not only want to
It was
provide
on the
them
slide.
technology,
Yes!
we want to help our service providers think
Thank
about
Your bingo
you.
how
card.
they can make money
My
from these
bingo card is
technologies.
complete.
Quantum
Somebody
safe
said,
MagSafe.
somebody
Whether they
said
be
quantum.
hyper-service
All right, we're
MagSafe.
good. Something that wasn't
hyperscalers
AI.
or,
So
Quantum
essentially
safe
what
MagSafe.
he's showing there is everything that
what are
we've
the
been
big
caring about in
announcements we're
networking for the
making
past
that we're really
since there's
excited
been
about?
network.
Essentially, we've got two.
So what Cisco's
big
telling you is
announcements, but one of them
their thing is,
we're
if they're saying
announcing,
that this is their new thing,
routing
it means they
infrastructure
lost
with
track
Cisco
of the ball.
8000 switches. This is basically distributed edge switches as well as converged access points, right? And so converged access switches. And if you start to think about it, they're all built on the Silicon One architecture, which means that the management of these switches is going to get to be a whole lot easier than what it has
It's
been in the
all
past.
proprietary.
And so Silicon One based routing, new access and edge platforms. and
Why
we'll
is
have it be
Silicon One based
completely
routing
optimized
better
for
than
AI.
my Linux code on
And
Broadcom?
so this is an area that's going to be
Folks, if you know that, I'd love to know.
Just make sure
Cisco
that
gets more margin, that's why it's
you
better.
continue to look at Cisco for,
Actually,
for helping you. And we wanna
Cisco's about the
continue to
only
keep
one
partnering
left
with the
that's
service
still spinning
providers
their own
on an
ASICs.
ongoing
I have
basis,
respect
because
for
they are
them for
now-
that.
They are the backbone.
But
for
I'm
secure
wondering if
connectivity.
that
Broadcom's
really
gotten
Make sure
so
we
good
continue
at
to
it.
keep enabling
Like,
them.
you know,
But
like
if you think this is cool,
I was part of a
one
group
of
that was doing
things
the
that's
analysis on should we stick with our own
extremely
silicon or should we
mind-bendingly
move?
amazing
And Broadcom made a
is this notion of
huge pitch to us that was
coherent, pluggable
totally seemed
optics.
on board. Like,
right? And
the value of
signals,
your
being
own
able
silicon
to go
these
out
days
and communicate
is
over
like
long distances.
billions of dollars you got to put into
so
research.
we have
Anybody
R&D.
who's been
a couple
playing in this
major
space for a
announcements
minute
in our coherent
saw the
pluggable
barefoot
optics.
stuff
The
pop up.
first
If you
one
weren't paying
is
attention,
around a 400
programmable
gig,
networks.
you know, kind of pluggable
Okay,
optic, and the
so
second
I
one
wonder
is
who
now
they're
we're talking
increasing
about
our speed
optics.
to 8
Yeah, who are
gig.
they
exciting.
OEMing? Nobody wants to talk
So
about
what does
optics.
this actually mean?
We all
We've
hate
already
buying optics
had
from vendors.
400 gig
I hate
optics that
buying
can
optics from
actually,
vendor, even when I was with one.
you know, transmit up to 1,000 kilometers. What we're doing
Yeah,
now
you don't
is
make
we're
that
making
lazy.
sure that we can increase this for ultra
I can get
long
that
haul,
off of
so that you can now
fs.com
expand that to up to
for a
3,000
tenth the
kilometers.
price.
And what that has as an implication is you can now start to have optical signals go out and connect and do data center interconnect across a very, very long distance.
If you have dark
And
fiber
then the
and there's
second thing
nothing
we're
in the
doing is
way.
we have 800 gig optics.
The cost to
So they're
move
gonna be
fiber
for up to
in that
1,000
direction
kilometers.
without
Now,
regeneration
by the way, the amazing
is
part of this is you start
4 orders
collapsing
of
the stack,
magnitude
you make
higher
it
than you're going
easier
to
to
spend on
manage, you have
800
lower
gig.
power efficiency, and
So
all
good
of
luck
this
with that, kids.
actually fits into your pocket. This is what an optical, coherent pluggable optic looks like.
This is what
All
my
optics
phone
look
looks
like,
like.
He thought,
And so to
Steve
talk
Jobs
a little bit
moment, pulled
more
out an
about
iPod
we
Nano.
actually talked to Swisscom, which is a customer and a service
I
provider.
can pull out an
to see
optic
what
over here
they've
too.
done. So let's roll video there.
I know, I'm looking around my desk right now. I've got to have one here somewhere. I mean, I got all sorts of crap on here.
I gotta have one over here.
Swisscom is the most sustainable telco in the world. That's our motivation, that's our mission.
It's all plugged in. I have to take apart my switch and disconnect this string.
What is this sustainable
Partnership with
telecom?
Cisco plays a key role.
Are you
providing
slower?
Innovative solutions, supporting us in addressing the future demand from our customers.
I don't even know
Our
what that
convergence
means.
journey started when we realized that the complexity is too high, so customers were affected directly. So the main goal.
So they're basically, it seems to me, what I'm hearing here is
by 40%,
one throat to
and
choke.
reduce the power consumption by 50%.
And I mean, there is value to that.
This
If
conversion
that
There is,
throat
but I-
clears if they're choked. So like,
But
more
who
future-ready by
who in their
streamlining
right
the
mind
network into a unified network architecture on one
are you
hand,
trying to
and
tell me that
Cisco
Cisco's
played a major
custom
role through
silicon
agile services
has less
networking.
power than
This
other
allows
people's?
us to
Because
distribute edge
I've used
functionality,
Marvell
converge
chips and
network and
Broadcom
service
and a few
layers,
others.
and
Yeah,
connect
Barefoot,
our
I
data
get it.
centers to
Barefoot
each
was a
other,
P4
and
processor. It ate a lot of
ultimately
juice, but
simplifying operations through AI.
yeah.
These features provided by the 8000 series based on Silicon One allow us to reduce the power consumption, optimize our cost structure, implementing much more efficient services.
well, more efficient than what?
Cisco
So you got to say.
Yeah,
comparing
I'm
it
trying to figure, are you more efficient than a white box? Are you more efficient than
more efficient
my
than
breakfast cereal?
Barefoot? Like
Or Barefoot or
Silicon is actually a big part of this.
Arista?
And so it
Who's going to
just turns out,
spank
as
the
luck would
living
have
crap
it,
out of you on latency?
completely randomly, we just found that our head of silicon is actually sitting in the audience. So we said, hey, why not have him come? No, that's not true. We actually completely prepared this. But Martin Lund, who is the head of Silicon One for Cisco and head of all of Silicon, is here. So let's make sure that we welcome him on stage.
Hey, good, you too.
How are you, my friend?
Doing well.
So tell us, why is it important for us to be in the silicon business?
Well, the fact, and some of the people here probably know, silicon has been part and parcel to Cisco for about 3 decades. We've built ASICs for as long as we've built routers and switches, roughly. But what is different now, and what we're doing with Silicon One, is that we're taking it and we're building a unified architecture that scales.
They're trying
from
to
the
sell
edge
Silicon One to
the
other
core.
people now,
And
which
we're
is
doing
interesting.
that with custom silicon. And why do we do that? Because if you want to lead, you have to control the tools of innovation. And while software,
If you want to lead, you got to make sure that if you develop software, it won't run on anything but our
innovate
stuff.
with, hardware defines the limits for software to innovate on. Yes. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take it to the next level.
And what is unique about what we
Okay,
do
does
compared to
anybody
what
still surviving in this audience remember
We've
Cisco
taken our
Toaster?
3 decades of
If you were at Cisco.
experiences and we put it into one.
They did a custom ASIC that had a 4x4
architecture
and a
scales from
6x6
to petabit.
parallel
Because
processor in it,
routing and switching
and
in one
completely
architecture.
failed the market. It was
And
it was
it's multiple
really too
families,
far
we'll
ahead of
talk
its time.
about that, but it is
The
really
tools just
truly
weren't there to take advantage of it.
for innovation, but also for driving simplicity and reducing complexity.
Yeah,
and
the,
not
the
having
toaster
multiple
didn't go.
architectures that
The
operate
problem is that
really
you can't.
That's number one.
Cisco
Fort
can't
Strong
lead the market in this
innovation is
because
also a programmable
their
engine on our
product,
side. It's
their
so
silicon spin time,
malleable
their
change
time
the
between
behavior
generations
of our forwarding
isn't
machine.
going to be as fast as Marvell
This is really important
or
when you deal with
Broadcom
new things in AI.
because they're
What's gonna
doing more
happen
than just, they
with
have to do the
protocols,
whole
new
infrastructure,
protocols?
which
Do you
means
have to
Broadcom and
forklift
Marvell
upgrade
and
your network
other
every
people
time
who
a
are
new
out there playing
innovation
with this
comes in?
stuff are going to build in more programmable features to their silicon to look at use cases they haven't thought of yet. And we have definitely seen that in some of the competition chips. I haven't gotten a good look at the internals of the one yet. I don't know what the programmable pipeline looks like, but I have seen the other ones. It's actually pretty good.
And feed the network management systems, and over time it will be AI managed, I'm sure, to ensure failovers.
But it's not going to matter to you because it's just
this
hardware.
programmability thing is really interesting because what you're essentially doing is changing it in software rather than having to re-etch the silicon, and that's completely game-changing. You know, for those of you that don't know Martin, he actually invented layer 3 switching. This is a legend in the industry.
There's no such
Martin,
thing as layer 3 switching.
Thank you very much.
If you're doing it on layer 3, you're routing. There's no such thing as layer 3 switching. Thanks, folks.
Right,
that was
let's go
marketing.
Next to the last area,
That was
which
bullshit.
is digital resilience. And when you think about digital resilience, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, when something goes wrong,
Who will you
know
scream at?
what went wrong? Is it a network outage? Is it a security breach? It was an application overage? It was an API overage? Was it a bug in the application? And essentially, you have to make sure that you correlate the data and get to that detection as fast as possible so you can compress your investigation time and get to the response and remediation
Excuse me.
as quickly as you can. And the problem with digital
Sorry, I
resilience is
just
it
did-
is fundamentally a data problem.
When somebody
And if you
tells me
think
that they're
about
about to announce a
three
product
core
that I was
technologies that
selling
have to
9
work
years ago,
hand in hand together on
I have
top
problems
of a data
with that.
platform.
Yeah.
Their assurance on the network.
not only that, okay,
observability
you guys
for
want
the
to hear a
entire
great story?
estate, and
What
then
he's
there's-
about to tell
and then
you,
there's security.
John and
so
I
if you
were
think
selling
about
9
the
years
assurance
ago
on the network,
that worked on
which
Cisco
essentially
gear.
is monitoring and the visibility, but also what are you going to do to action on it? Like Anurag talked about earlier, one of the key
did
things
that.
with Thousand Eyes is we're able to go out and monitor and take action on not just unowned infrastructure, but also owned infrastructure, both owned and unowned. And it's extremely important to do this in a way that's easy to use
extremely
and easy to
important
go out and manage.
that we're
right?
seen to actually
And so
have
we're
this
announcing
technology.
today
Instead of
Thousand
copying
Eyes
it from
Traffic
somebody else, we're going to
Insights.
tell you we
And
invented it.
Thousand Eyes Traffic Insights essentially provides deep visibility into the network for owned infrastructure that you might have, and then also instantly pinpoints disruptions that you might have. And then in addition to that, we're going to be able to accelerate any kind of remediation and automation that needs to be done so that the problem can be solved. Don't just find out what the problem is, but also solve that problem, right? And this is going to be available in March. So the team's worked really, really hard to
So
make
if
this
any of
happen.
you are
I'm super
a
excited about
VAR, a partner
you know,
of Cisco,
Thousand
Yeah.
Eyes
we
Traffic
want,
Insights.
we
So
can help you
give
with the
them a big
sales
round of
pitch for
applause.
that product right there because we've been doing it
Yeah,
forever.
because we wrote it
So-
like 5 years ago. Ours was available in March
in
as well.
addition to assurance,
March
what
5
we
years
also
ago.
need to make sure that we
2014.
look at is not
Yes.
just the network
Not kidding.
insights or what's happening with owned and unowned infrastructure, but what's happening from the standpoint of observability for the entire enterprise. And the way that one of the most valuable companies that we've purchased
Almost
is
like
Splunk, not just because of the amount of money we
application
paid,
telemetry?
but also because there's a tremendous amount of data over here that we can leverage in some very meaningful ways. So when you start thinking about end-to-end observability, what you essentially have is a Splunk data platform, and on top of that data platform, you're able to
Okay,
look at
Splunk, by the way,
the
guys,
entire
Splunk is
estate,
great.
not just the
I've
network,
used
right?
Splunk.
So App Dynamics
Splunk is
allows you to
fantastic.
look at your traditional applications.
My question is,
Observability Cloud allows you to look at your modern
how does
applications you might
Cisco
have,
pulling
and you have
Splunk
one
in make it
common
better?
management plane on top of that.
Or
which is
if
called
you're
IT
out
Service
there and
Intelligence,
you're still awake,
that allows
God
you to
help
make
you,
sure that you can manage that entire
and you
estate
saw this acquisition
for
of Splunk
observing
and
what's
you're using
going on
Splunk,
within your
did you think this
environment.
was a
And
positive
just
thing or a
like in
negative
every
thing?
other area that you've heard, we're
Because
now
every time I've
adding
seen this
AI
happen
Assistant
for a widely used
in
tool,
Splunk Observability Cloud.
like these guys, who are already going to
That's
put
gonna
AI
be,
and everything into
that's
it,
available now. So
right?
now you're able
AI
to have
assistant, everybody's got
classic
that.
prompt interfaces with AI go out and manage your entire
How did
observability
Cisco
estate.
buying these guys
So
make your life better?
essentially, what Cisco
Love
is
to know.
doing is fundamentally
Be happy to do a story on it.
reimagining the way that you will actually have data to see what's happening in the estate. But what it's also doing is reimagining security operations itself. So we talked about observability, which is built on the same platform, as we talk about the security stuff, that's
I want
also
to just do
built on
another
the same data
huge shout out to
platform.
all the people watching us
One of the
on
key
LinkedIn
areas
and
that
X.
we've
Yeah,
also
thanks.
I'm
innovated
really
quite a bit is
surprised, and I
XDR.
have been over the last few
And
weeks,
so
as we're
extended
seeing our
detection and
traffic
response
increase on
was an area
YouTube.
that we had
It's
announced
just
as a product a year
skyrocketing,
ago.
especially on X, but even on
Massive amount
LinkedIn.
of
So
uptick in the course of the past
big
year.
shout out to you folks.
And what we're doing
Yeah,
is
question
integrating
I
that into
have
our full
is
platform.
is
So
this
what we're
commentary
announcing
valuable
today
to you at
is
all? I mean,
an integration
if you're
of Cisco
drinking from the
Meraki
Cisco
with XDR.
Kool-Aid, and I've
What
been
does that
in that
mean?
position,
Right?
right?
Thank you.
Integration.
A lot of us
Meraki.
started in
Cisco
networking
Meraki
because
with
of
XDR, what that means
CCIE
is
type
that you will
track.
be able to make sure that you take the networking telemetry and feed it into XDR.
The
and you
thing
can
is,
then
once
take
you
the
get
incidents that are in
to learn other
XDR
systems, you
and
start
have them show
realizing,
up in
like
the
this
Meraki
augmentation they're talking about here, this is
And
great.
so there's a
Flying
bi-directional
Splunk
kind of
may have
integration
pulled
that's there,
Meraki
and then
closer in,
as
but
your
Meraki shouldn't have been out there in
organization
the first place.
gets more
They'd actually
sophisticated
started the
and
integration when they bought the company.
has
Be a lot
more
farther
of a,
along right now. It wasn't until
kind of
you,
footprint on the SOC,
the
and you wanna
customer,
have more
you
sophistication in
screamed
that
enough
area,
that they
what we are
finally got
also
off their
able
butt
to
and
do
did this.
is power the SOC of the future. And then you can actually make sure that you also start using Splunk. And so we've got this common data platform on top of which we've got a SIM, we've got the orchestration.
I got to
and
admit, if
response
you're
with
going to do a
SOAR,
common data
and
platform,
it's
Splunk's a
essentially
good way to go
powering the
about
entire
it.
SOC of the future.
100%.
The question is,
what
now you put a
specifically
stake into Splunk because nobody else is going to want to use it as the common platform because you
sure
own
that
it.
we can continue to make it easier for people
So
to manage.
who, if you're on Splunk now, tell us,
well.
what are you looking at?
Just like in every other area,
Are you going to
it
stay
would
with
make
it?
a
Are
lot of
you
sense
looking
to
at
have an
another
AI
platform?
assistant that allows you to manage
Somebody else
enterprise
has
security with
something
Splunk,
that's going to do what you need to do on this?
which is available now in private
And
preview.
you know what? The
right?
biggest,
And so
most
what you're
important
starting to see
question is it
this
SIM or
entire
SIEM?
platform is coming
See,
together
I've always
and
heard
getting
it
woven
is
in.
SIM.
And
Yeah, I have as
the
well, but
last,
individual
that
I think it's
wanted to have come
maybe
up on stage to talk
dialect
about
thing,
it
like
is Kamal
other
Hathi,
countries,
who actually
non-English
runs
speaking
the data
countries.
platform
I
within
still have a
Splunk. So let's
problem
give
with the
Kamal a big
concept of
round
SIM
applause.
being useful in a real-time environment because SIM will only tell you what happened after it's happened.
No, it's a look
tell
back
me
at the
what you're
past.
excited
It's
about
great
over
for
here. What's going on?
remediation.
First of all, thank you for having me. Really excited. Honored
Hopefully.
To be here.
Welcome to Cisco. You recently joined us.
But it's not going to tell you
Before I
what
go, I gotta
who's
quote my
hacking
t-shirt.
you right now.
Yeah, really, you had me at
resilience.
Resilience, absolutely. So what I'm excited about is this combination of Cisco and Splunk. Now, Cisco, as we just talked about, it powers the world's networks. It's
Okay.
the foundation on which AI is made possible.
Well, it doesn't because
And
their market
Splunk,
share's been dropping.
has the largest possible scale of data, managing it, correlating it, enabling observability, enabling security. Together, what we can do is what no one else can do, which is detect incidents such as lateral movement or outages well before they happen. And that is just absolutely a game changer, and only Cisco and Splunk together can make that.
Yeah, the way I think about this, and you have to assume the attacker is in the system, and the name of the game is to prevent lateral movement.
Exactly.
Where does lateral movement happen? On the network.
On the network.
And we can make
Yeah,
sure
but
that
the
we can
network
actually tie
doesn't
those
know
together.
about
So
lateral
exactly
movement.
right.
This
The
has
network
a lot
only
of kind of
knows that you're
supercharging
sending
doing of
valid
security
packets.
as well as observability by integrating
So
into different
here's the other thing:
Cisco
if you're
assets.
a customer of any vendor,
Tell me a little bit about,
and that vendor says that we're
you
the
wanna do a little
only
bit of a
ones
demo,
that
so
can
I'm
do
gonna actually
this,
allow you to do
challenge
that.
them
Right, so let's go
and
jump to
talk to
demo
the other
directly.
vendors because
So
I've been in sales,
the,
I've pitched, and I've
background here
said
is the following.
we're the only ones that
I
can do
am
this.
a,
Some cases
in the role
I felt that was
of a
true. Some
IT
cases I wasn't.
analyst,
Maybe
or
maybe
a,
not.
application
But
developer, and I'm in a
that's
retail
a
company, so I've
hard
got
thing to make a
cloud,
claim on. That
I've
this level
seen-
of visibility
apps,
is only
I've got,
possible with Cisco and
on-premises,
Splunk together.
backend
I
for
remember
e-commerce, and I
the
started to notice suddenly alerts
earlier
that
days of the
firing
last
off
technology we were
because,
looking at.
my payment system is in trouble, and that's
You're
a big
talking about
deal.
Mirror
It's
N?
the core, it's the heart of my real application.
That
So
was
what do? I jump into
pretty cutting edge and
Splunk's,
protected by
IT service intelligence,
patents, right?
ITSI,
Yeah.
and on this I can see the service
I think
analyzer,
now it's out
and
of
we talk
patent,
about, the notion
and we're
of
starting to see
the,
it pop up in other places.
resilience being a data problem. We can visualize.
And for folks who don't know on
the
this stream, what
entire
Mirror
estate,
N
the data,
did
for
is it
example,
allows you to grab
on-premises in the cloud,
the first,
and the
13
thousand-eyes
bytes
networks
of a
owned and
flow.
unowned.
If I got the first
Because
13
I'm
bytes of a flow, I could tell you
application
what
guy,
that flow
I'm
is
a
doing.
developer,
I
the
could tell
first
you the the
action
application.
is, it's got to be the network.
Really, really
It's the
cool
network.
stuff.
And sure enough, I go in.
But there's other vendors now that do something very, very similar.
It's always
Might
the
not be
network,
as
because the
efficient,
network. And
but it
how
doesn't
nice
really
I can
matter.
see
So you got to
actually
grab
there's
26
something
instead of
going on,
13
web
or
checks are
40
failing,
packets. Who cares?
and I say, okay,
right?
something
As long as you're
really
grabbing
let
it
me go look
locally.
at the KPIs that define it. Look at my
Then
KPIs
that's always
at
been the
drilling,
problem. With
and
mirror
stats and
end,
latency may be lost.
per flow, I had to
Exactly
send
with
those
1000
packets
eyes
up to a
right there,
central
without
processing.
moving
If these
around
guys
tabs or
can
anything.
get
and I can see
that processing happening inside their switches, that's a win.
So I got to do my job now.
I haven't heard that, but that's a win if they can do
So I
that.
go back in ITSI and start looking at my checkout cart. It's a native cloud service. And
Because
this one
now
is
I can say,
monitored,
okay, I'm not clogging up, you know, I'm just setting metadata.
Observability Cloud, again, look at my KPIs, go in, and I can go right into these troubleshooting and look at my service map, and here I can see in red, right there. That's the payment service, and that's a back end on my.
So here's a tip for anybody out there in sales, selling networking gear. He did something really good there. Don't be afraid of the red. Click on the red. If your dashboard is showing red, that means there's a problem and your tool has found it. And I found so many sellers back away from the red. They want to just
no. The red is gold.
The databases at
Yeah,
fault.
it's gold because that that gives you something. Oh my gosh, here's something broken. Now you can have a whole new
and
conversation.
my tool found it.
All right, so
Yeah,
you
my
have
tool
one
found
other
it.
important announcement to make. Let's make
And
sure that we
only
get to
my
that.
tool could have found it.
Absolutely. One more thing, as I say, is welcome to SnapAttack. SnapAttack is a company we just recently acquired. It enables detection as code. And so we welcome the SnapAttack team to Cisco. Looking forward to adding value to all of our customers here. So,
Kamal, thank you again.
Thank you so much, you too. My pleasure.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.
Give it up for
What
Kamal.
is SnapAttack?
All right, so to conclude, I know that this was a rapid fire round of all the different innovations that
Okay,
that we could
meantime
actually
day.
compress
They're
for
supposed
you
to be.
within,
It looks like it's a
within the short and sweet 80
correlation
minutes.
platform,
But
not
what we
necessarily
wanted
a
to do
sim,
was
but
get
something more
back
real
to,
time.
You should assume that
Yeah,
we're going to build
something more
products you
real
love.
time.
You should
This
assume
is
that they're
actually
gonna
kind of
be
cool.
great quality, and you should assume that we're going to continue to be very asymmetric in the way that we build them. And if we do this right, we will continue to make sure that we can help you make this transition. Now, I want to hand it over to someone who's, I don't think he's here. I don't know where Oliver went. Oliver, I don't see you here. Where are you, my friend?
I'm here, G2. I hope you can hear and see me. I'm already in the world of solution.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, here's the joke, kids. World of Solutions is something I used to deploy. We call it internally the world of heavy
innovation
things.
that you and the team presented are just mind-blowing.
So why are all
And I
these
know
folks in the
we
keynote?
are ready for the future. And for all of you, our customers and partners, if you want to see the innovations in real life, just come to the world of solution. It is happening right here. The
Now,
experts
please do
are
me a
here
favor,
to talk
everybody
you
there,
through
go
tell
and
you how
harass
you
these
can
people,
utilize the power of the
because that was the most fun I
and
ever
if you
had in
rather
that
would
job.
prefer to go back 40 years
Definitely.
and enjoy the Cisco journey, right there's an exhibition showing you all the wonderful things of the last 40 years. With this, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being long-term partners of Cisco, and thanks for being together with us for the future, where we are going beyond. But wait, one last thing. I have a little surprise because it's our
You're gonna
birthday.
connect
And
beyond the
40
network.
of you will find below your seat a little ticket to get one of these amazing Bang & Olufsen Cisco earbuds. Another
That's
great
a lie.
example how we
I don't
partner
have
and
one.
innovate in the collaboration area.
Yeah.
And with this, enjoy Cisco Live. Thanks for
Okay,
being with
well,
us.
nice giveaway. All right, so what's your takeaway on this, John?
Well, you know, we were talking before this thing started, before we went live, and you called it.
Oh my goodness, how much do I love
I
that
don't
to
think
see
we need to
Oliver
listen to this
out
guy.
and walking around the world of solutions as a way
gonna-
to bring an end to that fantastic
gonna-
opening keynote.
It's so
Bravo,
hard to
Oliver
do this, John.
and team.
It really is.
It
So,
is, it
folks,
is.
AI,
40
one
of the people
quantum.
here at the
Sorry.
We got a quantum out of them,
We got a quantum. Yeah, that was great.
but this was John.
It was
you started to
architecture
say-
at its finest.
It is a architecture. There's not a lot. The problem, everything that they've just talked about doing here depends on them being able to reach across the internal infrastructure of Cisco, which is the business units, and cooperate to move this data into their new data infrastructure. Now, it's possible that all of this has been resolved, right? This has always been the biggest fight inside of the company, is how do you get another business unit to go along with what you're doing? I personally feel like, given the amount of churn they've had, they brought in Splunk and all those other things, it's probably become entrenched. So the thing to watch for, if this is your vendor, the thing to watch for is watch for licensing complexity, because that's going to be one of the things you're going to see when they butt heads on this. Watch for data integrity and the ability to integrate this stuff, and also watch the, call it the threat profile, right? One of the biggest problems with what they're preaching to you, how there's been a lot of discussions about security and AI in this thing. One, we don't know where AI is going to go. We're definitely seeing new levels of security attacks because of it. As useful as AI is to day-to-day business operations, it's also incredibly useful if you want to do an algorithmic attack. It just makes it easier for less sophisticated criminals, hackers, whatever, crackers, to use more sophisticated attacks. So we're going to see that. The biggest problem is these type of attacks are really good at wedging into inconsistent architecture. And while Cisco is really, really good at talking about, hey, you buy it from us, it's all one thing. My experience, other experience that John and I have had in our previous company, other companies we've been in, know that the highest level of cooperation you need to eliminate those gaps for attack is very, very difficult to achieve from a business perspective.
Yeah.
So that would be my caution. This was a great marketing message. Be really interesting to see if they can pull it off. But past performance does not speak to this as being one of their strengths. John, you got some thoughts on this?
Well, my first message is, it's something, I try to tell my kids, everything else is be a skeptic. Always be skeptical of a message. And it can, we have a tendency to, when we're pitched something and it's compelling, when it's a Steve Jobs level presentation, ooh and ah. But step back and think about what's being said. If you hear things like, we're the only ones that can do this, even if there is a patent in place, there are always a workaround of some form to be able to achieve goals. And then when it comes to the AI piece, I mean, their point about the problems that AI bring when it comes to your data security and attack vectors and all that stuff, 100% true.
They're not wrong.
What the heck are they going to do about it? How does a network vendor, secure an LLM, right? And if they do make it something that's onerous enough that they are on the network, and as Lou pointed out, how are they actually tracking what you're saying if you're using TLS 1.3? How do you do that? But even if they had a way to do it, I'm going to find a way around it.
Right? Well, not only that, am I going to trust you? Am I going? Right. If you're breaking my encryption, do I trust you?
Right.
The problem is that we've seen we've documented a number of breaches in the ASAs. We've seen breaches in the intelligence service engine, the ICE engine. Recently, there was one last week I didn't cover because honestly, if all I covered was security, we've got multiple websites out there. All they're doing is announcing exploits. Lots of them are talking about the company. Now, if we flip this on its head, right? If you take us at our word here and say, okay, we have seen this stuff before. What is the world like if you're trying to do that? Well, the world is you've got to integrate it. Yeah. And before that, and you've got to integrate it on the basis of the resources you happen to have at hand. And that can be a real issue. So there's absolutely room for something like a Cisco certified solution or insert your vendor solution here. I've been A to Z through the solutions process, both from the conceptual, the engineering. It is incredibly difficult to do. And the problem with what this vendor is saying is it's only going to work with stuff they can see, stuff they can control. And as we're hearing the movement in AI, one of the things they didn't talk about, these AI stuff on the infrastructure, NVIDIA announced a $3,000 device that is basically a high-end AI cluster capability, this little box that can do this. Okay, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah, how much are those UCSs costing? They're not $3,000.
Yeah, they're not $3,000, right? The problem is that the compute vendors aren't in control anymore,
right?
Or the compute vendors have changed. right? Is Intel or AMD the important, or even ARM, right? But the important compute vendor in where we're moving. A compelling case can be made that NVIDIA is now the lead compute vendor.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that mean in this architecture? Well, it's a whole new world, right? It's a whole new world. And when I can buy a Raspberry Pi add-on for a 5 that uses a little PCIe slot, you put in a Tensor processor, and those cost, I think, like $70.
Yeah.
I can now start to do machine learning on a very, very tight budget. And that's all going to show up in your network.
I can't wait to see what the Raspberry Pi 6 looks like. That is going to be I'm guessing, prediction here, write it down. I'm going to guess that's an AI first Raspberry Pi device it's going to be crazy.
That will be a game changer. And I'll make this bet as well to parallel yours. I'm betting that it is already going through designer soak tests at Broadcom, who is currently building the current chip which is designed by the Raspberry Pi Foundation based on the ARM architecture. I'm willing to bet you they're in advanced tape out working on that chip right now.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. We've been doing this for a little over 2.5 hours now. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciated that. We can't do podcasts like this without listeners like you. Are you interested in more of these live streams where we look at somebody else's announcements and we give you our feedback on it? Would you rather us go back to the standard deep dives that we've been doing in the news episodes that we've been doing? Send us email, feedback@itsparkcast.com. That's feedback@itsparkcast.com. Hit us up on X @itsparkcast, or make a comment down below this video or any other of the videos that we have. We really enjoy listening to your feedback, and we respond and read every single piece of feedback that we get from you. So we really appreciate that.
And you can see that, I'm sorry, you can see that we absolutely care about this stuff.
We do.
But we want to, we have a ton of experience between us. What we'd really like to do at this point in our career is get that experience out there.
Yeah, we're doing this to help you get better and have a leg up on some of your competition that are not getting this kind of information from veterans like us. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for listening and being an active participant. Take care.
Thanks, folks.